This conference will now be recorded.
Nobody's up there. Yeah. All right, should we stand for the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we got our budget workshop. So a summary on what was submitted from our department heads, and with the new village assessment, which went up a little bit, it was a 25.5% tax increase. So to cut that back, if we want to go to 2%, we only got to cut out $607,000.
600,000?
600,000. Our expenses went up and our revenues went down.
So can you remind us why we try to keep this 2% thing again? Because, I mean, reality is that things go up. People want stuff, taxes, hey, you know what?
That's a New York State.
Huh?
That's a New York State law.
To try to keep it 2%.
If I might. When the governor and the state legislature decided that there was going to be a 2% or whatever inflation number tax cap, the idea there was to try and keep localities down on their taxes. And if we didn't follow it, we were going to have certain little wrist slaps we weren't going to get this, we weren't going to get that. That's the deal of it. We're going to pass the override, which we always pass in case we have to raise it more than that. But when we do that, we are getting some state sanctions. That's the reason that you do it. And actually, none of us actually know all about that, what that is, but that's the general deal of it.
Because I know that question is going to come from the residents, and I just want to be able to explain it.
Well, that's as much an explanation as we have, or we can give somebody else.
So
Aside from we don't want to raise their taxes.
Right, so we have the general fund, the EMS fund, and the sewer fund, all three separate things. The property taxes are from the general fund, EMS bills and sewer bills, so similar. EMS requested a 30% increase, and the sewer department requested a 2.01%.
I'm saying much. I'm thinking to it. You say those again? Or what? No.
The EMS, with what they submitted in, is a 31% increase compared to their budget this year. And then the sewer department, if you compare the new budget to this year's budget, it's a 2% increase.
And how about that? Just a quick question on the EMS. We'll get all to that later. I don't want to go into a whole bunch of it now. But does that take into account the change in revenues that we might have because of Tyler Center? Or is that just money wanted to be spent?
That revenue is always a guess.
So it's not that.
They would like their expenses to be up 31%.
Which, of course, once again, we'll go there after this. But if the income is down from Tyler Center, then it's not just going to be a 31%. It's going to be a bigger gap. Okay, we'll get to that.
So anyway, we can go crawl through it department by department. So we could probably start with the fire department because they're like the simplest line items. You got kind of a rate change too.
Is that what you want to do, fire first?
What page are we starting on?
Well, if you look through the pages, they're labeled at the top.
Yeah.
So find the one that says OFD.
About 2/3 of the way through the packet, and then, but it's going to start with page one. It's going to say page 1 of the OFD.
Right.
Okay, all right.
I'm ready to go.
How many pins you got over there?
Oh, you get one of these?
Oh. pen? How many pens do you have? One?
I get you.
Thank
You're a
you.
responsible adult.
You know.
About 9 pages from the back.
Send it to file.
And it starts like this, page like that, about 9 pages from the back.
You got extra pen?
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, where's the stapler? That was me. I put it around the machine.
Like Chinese.
Chinese.
Thank you, Laura. I'll get it back.
All right.
What page did you do?
There's no overall page. It just says 1 year.
So Mike, the way this works is like I'm on the OFD page 1, I guess it's that right there. And what we have, as opposed to other years, we have just last year's budget, last year's year-to-date, and the current year's, that's when I say last year's, and then this requested and proposed. We don't have 2 or 3 years back like we've had.
Correct.
Okay.
Switch software, so all.
I understand why we do it. Okay,
And even it doesn't give you a good report, that's why you have this, this is my spreadsheet. Because of the stuff that spits out of the software, like, you don't even know where it goes, it's just a quick count them. So we gotta work on that. So do you wanna go through what you changed? And, like, I know you sent the sheet, but
Yeah, and I actually have the updated sheet because I didn't include the contract, the fire contract, which was agreed upon with a handshake deal for $31,500, still waiting on me for that contract. But I have to have it to them by August 1st.
okay, above. And that was 31.
31,500. So if you equate that,
I put it in the revenue.
I actually would give back $11,650 to the general fund. Budget,
Well, yes and no.
which doesn't make it,
Last year we had that contract in there at 108,000. So that's some of our issues.
so some of the things that I reduced, others I increased. 2 of the major increases, the first one is 15 new members last year. We had no gear to give them. We had to borrow from another department to meet our needs. New York State just passed a law regarding all gear, which contains PFAS. I talked to the mayor about that today. It will be banned effective in 2028, so we need to start planning to purchase the new gear for all active firefighters. I have exactly 3 sets that are not containing the PFAS. So in 2028, all my gear but 4 sets would be obsolete, not being able to be used because it's causing cancer in firefighters. And then my other big, 3 increases, sorry. Equipment apparatus repair increased by 11,500 because of my aging equipment requiring more and more repairs. This year, as you can see,
Yeah, we spent 88,000 this year.
and that's gonna keep going up. I got, that's probably gonna be another $7,000 worth of repairs. And then the last one was $5,000 increase to budget statement training mandates. I'm looking to schedule 6 sessions with a fire training company called Meridian at $5,565. They come out and do advanced hands-on skills. So they're training jobs and all that stuff.
just a straight tree.
So in doing that, I reduced my radio equipment to 1,000, my communication to 0, my fire fuel reduced by $1,000, miscellaneous down to about, reduced by 1,000, contract allocation reduced by 1,500, equipment repair reduced by 2,000, supplies reduced by 1,000, and telephone reduced by $1,200.
What was miscellaneous?
Miscellaneous is like shipping.
No, I mean,
Oh, my reduction,
it was reduced?
Yeah.
1,000, miscellaneous is reduced to 1,000.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I synopsis this again? I know you did all that, but there's 4 big things. Your equipment, insurance, fire, and repair apparatus, they're 10, 10, and 12 up. And then there's one more, training 5 up. And then there's a bunch of downs, 1,200, 2,000, 1,000, 1,000, 6,000, 1,000. So that's our general quick synopsis of how that goes. So our 3 big ups are what we just said, what he just said. Spare equipment, insurance, fire.
Your insurance went up
Rodney,
12%, insurance went up 12% on Mike and I last year with no warning or.
Yeah, you can't.
insurance went up 12% last year. Are we expecting it again?
I'd say probably 8%.
So 20% total, 2 years.
Insurance for the whole village went up.
Still, we had, for insurance, we had 38.5, and at 20% total of that is only 7,500, so that wouldn't bring us to the 50 grand there. Although, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong line. Sorry, I'm in the repair items. I messed up, sorry. Let me find the right item.
Yeah, insurance was 33.4.
33.4, 20% of that is 66, bringing it up to about 4 grand, 40 grand. It is 43.7, but whatever. But once again, ours is 41.29 this year, which is
That was the bill this year.
instead of 33.4, and that's
That's a percentage of all departments.
that's 30. That's 30, almost 33% their difference. So it went up 33% this last year? I know you were saying it went up 18%, but that increases 33%. Just saying, I'm just,
Keep right doing that, we have cyber insurance.
am I making sense there? Chief?
Yeah,
I'm just trying to get grip on it.
when Mike Road and I paid the bill because we split it amongst ourselves. We had an increase of 12%, so.
This is just fire and EMS.
What are you talking about now, Rodney?
Fire and EMS.
I know EMS only splits part of it.
Right.
I don't- Vehicles are separated, right?
There's all kinds of insurance. They have a different policy. They don't have an active policy.
All it says here is insurance fire.
You also can see insurance EMS. He's just saying that's his steer. That's his steer.
This year I paid $41,200.
We budgeted 33,000 for insurance. And we paid 229, which is about a 33% more than we budgeted.
Well, the good question is, what did we pay last year? Which I don't have that number.
So
Like,
last year, I would hope it was not 30, not,
that budget number might have been wrong.
maybe we under budgeted for insurance last year. But I'm just,
We do. We do every year. We do it for every year.
okay.
I didn't touch it, Charles.
Oh, man, I think we have insurance for
My
that.
timing was just right.
I gave you a chair back. Is this premiums or not include any claims or anything? Charles?
So the premium, and the claims, the premium drives from the claims.
But I mean, do we have to pay out the claims? Is that included here if we have any claims?
Back over here.
This might be. Well,
Yeah, 278.
No.
Two more.
Let's see. Fire department, EMS, sheriff's department, insurance. EMS had a couple of.
That'll raise the premium for the whole.
for everything, just one policy.
It's not gonna get cheap.
Definitely not much. Never gets cheaper. Same as benefits.
Six, 12 down.
Good fire. Anybody else?
37 up.
I thought everybody was.
Second floor was,
Yeah, Nicholas Spencer from ESIP/Partners/Smith Brothers
Smith Brothers.
So,
said it brought up roughly $6,754, roughly 12% compared to last year. So in 2024, it was $55,519, and we only budgeted that 33. 2025, it was $62,093.
right,
My
the whole
portion,
policy.
right, my portion was $41,229.53.
And our portion of the budget was 33 instead of 55,
right.
or something like that, whatever. Okay. Are we all done paying that, chief, or are we gonna be, is that 41.2, or do we pay monthly or something? So we have to-
In March.
Okay.
We'll get with it again in March.
Okay.
And I am shopping for cheaper.
And you said you're pretty sure it's gonna go up a number of percent this year?
Always does.
Then we under budgeted last year, and
Probably the year before.
43 is realistic. If we pay 41,229 and 43 is another couple of grand, that's another 5%, so that's not unrealistic that we're gonna have to pay 43.7.
Right.
And it's 10 more than we budgeted last year, so that's part of the $22,000
Correct. Between that
that it's up.
and the gear and the,
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to make sure we get this out, and if there's something to be done.
Due to the increase in personnel.
You're talking about insurance?
No, I'm talking about training, it jumped by 1,000, was it due to the increase in volunteers?
We have different skill sets, so you have somebody like me that's been around 33 years. And you have brand new. What this guy comes in and does is caters to all of them with one training, and that training will do a 6 times even for us.
So now the price doubled
So,
last year.
last year we did all in-house trainings. And this year we just bring in-house that are people that are smarter than, more than I can raise and stuff too. What he does is caters the training to all skill levels, so we do hands-on, somebody that just walked in off the street can learn something. I can learn something with a 32-year member. Charles, if you would come around and get to learn something.
Yep.
what types of things have you been using the money on? What up till now?
My equipment repair obviously was.
No, I'm not training, like.
For training, we did a partial class with Smith Valley. They invited an instructor in from out of state. So we split that cost with them, and then Campbell and us also brought in another instructor and split that cost with them. Now I'd like to bring in the outside instructor. If they so feel that they want to split it, then we can split that cost. This way I know I can do it.
You did that brush fire training thing, right?
That was one with Smith Valley. We
Yeah.
didn't have to pay anything for that.
Because that's great, because we had those seasons filled with brush fires that happened in. So I remember when I went out for water rescue long time ago. And 2 weeks later, we had a flood, and I was out there. So you never know when stuff is gonna happen. I didn't know that I could squeeze into a scuba equipment and it for a game on this week.
So back to,
Oh, so you took a couple of years off. So we hired a mechanic at DPW, so we split his salary between all of the departments.
It says there's $0 here to be here.
Part-time, I'm not sure who that's supposed to be. Full-time is Justin.
Right, I just see the 1,000 in part-time that wasn't used, is that something you play with? I mean, it's
Possibly,
not
Don't know.
600, but it's 1,000.
possibly. I don't know who that was supposed to
I have no idea, but it's all about the road.
It does not.
be. No, fire, part-time.
One of the fire, but he's talking about this full-time salary, right?
But we haven't used it.
And I don't believe it was just last year.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Which one you talking about, the part-time?
Yeah.
So let me summarize one more time, and I know I'm repetitive and boring, but, so that, my figures say that the fire budget's going up 8%, that's the, if we do what's on here, that's the 278 to the 301, which is about 22 grand, which is about 8%. So I've got that down here as a reference, fire's up 8%, 22 grand. And of course, once again, if we wanted it not to go up,
We probably could put that now. It's not-
we can certainly do that.
Make a lot of that difference. And
No,
we'll
that's
figure
not
out
gonna
what
matter
it's
much.
supposed to be.
That's not gonna matter much. 2, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is 12. So everything else being equal, and the minuses on things that there are 5 or 6 things of 1,000, couple thousand off, which we're not fussing about that, they're less. We've got the 3 big things, 10, 12, and 10. And also the 5 for train. And so 3.5 big things. And once again, 22 is how much it went up. As we go along, because we're not deciding right this minute whether we have to do something there to make it less, depending on where we are. But we know where the big things are.
That's the point tonight, really.
We're getting to that. We're just getting to the places
The
of
reasoning of why the numbers are okay.
why they are and what, when it turns out where we want to get, how we want to get there, what the options are. That's pretty much what that is.
Just gets all the numbers in one place. And then you start crunching numbers. Doing the assessment and doing the division.
If I pretty much got that right about the fire department, how it is, where it is, what we can do.
So, we're doing another department now?
Sure.
Yeah, you don't.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Now, which one are we doing? Which one are we doing next?
Oh, okay.
Who's next?
Who's got the time thing?
Anybody got beginning order?
I'll be willing to go next.
Thanks.
We gotta win.
Well played,
I'm
Michael.
not taking that. You guys are ready. So, EMS is towards the back of the package.
You guys are just too slow.
Okay.
I know I'm asking for the most money. Figure out the ground.
And Mike has a couple of pages because we have a revenue page and then a couple of expense pages.
Sewer, 3 pages of sewer. The last 3 are sewer, the next to last 3 are EMS.
Right.
Oh. I have a answer machine here, so we put it on here. Okay, where were we? EMS? Revenue.
Typically, in the years past, the revenue has matched the expenses. If there's a situation where the revenue doesn't match the expenses, then we have to roll that extra cost. Okay. Keep that in mind when we talk expenses.
Just real quick, because I haven't seen this, I don't know who has. Is the amount we pay, what's the company that does it for us?
What happened?
Which one?
That's
FedEx, is that on here? Where's that?
an expense.
Yeah, it's
Minutes.
40,
About 40 grand a year. It obviously depends.
Oh, I see it now, I see FedEx bill, but I say I haven't seen this one. Revenue did we get in '23? Does anybody have that quickly? I'm wondering how the revenue went down this year with our various things.
Well, it went down obviously because of the volunteer issues we had.
Sure.
We were able to cover calls for, I'll say 6 months.
No, I understand some of the reasons, but I'm wondering what the numbers are.
What the numbers have been, yeah.
So does this year it's, we budgeted to have revenue of 602. We're at 543 and we're thinking 600 budget, but I'm just curious for budget, when we were getting ahead and saving $500,000 a year, what kind of revenue did we have in '23 and '22? That's what I'm getting at.
That's a good question. We'll be finding out.
All right. Part of that is I know we're trying to budget, but it's also to try and anticipate what we might be able to get, what we might not get. Yeah, part of that stuff.
So do you want to talk about some of the expenses that are different?
Yeah,
That's probably the easiest way.
so the biggest expense is different is our salaries, right? The full-time salaries have been cut because we only have one full-time provider. And that has transferred over to the part-time salaries where we have significantly more expenses, shall we say, on the part-time side. Thought process is, with what's currently budgeted, that's almost one full-time paramedic, 24/7, 365 with what we had in the budget, even though we were using it for 2 paramedics, Monday through Friday, 6 to 6. So if we take that and we roll it out throughout the year, with the extra that we had in there, it comes out to one person. So basically, the part-time salaries we need to increase to cover potentially a second person, depending on what the volunteers can and can't do, right? That's another piece that we can't judge is what are the volunteers going to do? And so based on what we've been doing, the last couple months we've been doing it, we figure it's like $14,000 of payroll or something. And so when we figured it out, it comes close to $250,000 a year for 24/7, 365 for an EMT. And not knowing what our revenue is going to be, not knowing what the volunteers are going to do, we're taking a shot in the dark. But I'd rather err on the side of caution than be facing the possibility of having to close our doors if we run out of money. The other thing we got to consider is, what are we going to do for these folks for space for EMS, right? If we do well volunteer-wise and revenue-wise this year, if we put the extra money into the budget and we don't end up having to use it, we can take it and use it for building upgrades or putting it down the road for a real EMS facility versus squatting at the fire station where we have no authority to do anything. Which is something that obviously we need to talk about once the 3rd floor of the building is habitable. But there's an awful lot that we've got to consider. So the salaries is the biggest piece. The other 2 pieces that go up are the $53,000 a year for the contract for the monitors and the $4,000 a year for the maintenance of the stretchers that we've never had before.
Which one is that in? Contracted services?
I think that's what it is. Let me see if I can find it.
Contracted services is up. We budgeted 18 grand and it's 57.
Yes, so that one is it, because that's 57.
I guess.
Plus, no, it was
75.
plus 57, sorry, 75, it's plus 57. It's 57 more, sorry.
75,000. So we already spent 28.
But he was just saying what that was from. right? What did you say it was from?
It's for the monitors, which are gonna be 53,000, 4,000 and change for the stretcher repair, maintenance, that kind of stuff. And then we've also got IT that quadrupled our cost. That's in there.
That's all in that contracted service.
No, the IT's separated out.
Oh, IT's in another spot then?
12.5, which this year we didn't budget for, because I don't think we knew what it was gonna be.
Yeah. So those are the biggest things. I mean, everything else, basically, we're expecting it to stay the same.
So in the proposed, you'll see I went from 250 to 157.
services.
Yeah,
The only thing I did there,
Now it's
food for thought, was I took the 178,609 and added the 42,4, and then took out the 65,000 for full-time to give you what was left of the original amount that we spent this year on salary. In part of that, that's the delta. Obviously, the 250 would be above, it will be more money than we spent this year.
yeah, because it's a crapshoot, right? We don't know how the volunteers are gonna do for EMTs or drivers. And then, regardless, we've gotta look down the road, building-wise, right? Are we gonna stay where we are and make modifications to the building? Maybe we can get the DPW guys to help us, build a couple bedrooms if we need to, or whatever the case may be. But we've gotta think outside the box now that we're having staff there on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way it balances, otherwise we gotta cover that delta. So if we go with all these expenses, we're gonna have to say that we're gonna get that much money for billing, which is gonna be a stretch probably. Bring in 800,000 for billing.
What about, we have the 40,000 set aside again for a low cap. Are we really gonna do that?
Well, the answer is yes. The other answer is that our full-time staff member has been asked to work on it since January and isn't finished with it. And so our assistant is helping get that completed. But that is something that we need to do for the volunteers. It may not be 40,000, it may be less, because we've got less volunteers, but we're still gonna be paying something. It all depends on how many people we get. I mean, we've been getting more and more new members, as just like we've got 2 applications tonight that Gary's gonna bring forward, I think, from the meeting, if we can.
I'm not sure we can, but that's what I was gonna ask. Otherwise, we'll do it next Monday.
But, we've been slowly getting more and more members, but it's gonna take time to bring them up to speed. But still, if they volunteer and they meet the quota, then they're gonna have to have money set aside for them for low staff.
Was it get started right away, or I thought it didn't start for 5 years?
They can't take any money, they're vested after 5 years. So our folks that are over 62, right, if we put in $1,200 into low staff for them, they'll get the $1,200 because they're over the age. But everybody else, you have to wait 5 years for it to be vested, and then once you're vested, then you'll be able to get it when you hit 62.
So everybody that quit and left doesn't get low staff.
That's correct.
So all those money, I don't know if we paid those monies out.
We haven't paid
We didn't pay
anything
because nobody did any of the paperwork.
Correct.
So we haven't paid anything, but we're going to have to be prepared.
Yep. And even if we pay the company to hold the money for them and they don't do the 5 years of service, they're not gonna get anything, it's gonna go back in the till.
So we
That'll
get,
be less than we're gonna have to put into it next year.
so if we pay in, they don't stay 5, that's a credit to us.
Correct.
From the till. We don't lose it.
Yeah, we don't lose it, it
Less-
comes back
yeah.
to us.
So, but it's like $1,200 a year, right?
Per person, yeah.
And do we have to like back pay for people that?
No, because we're starting fresh.
When we first set that up, Mike, we said we would back credit that half a year, whatever it was, but that's all gone now. Everybody starts now from right now.
40 grand is 33 and a half people. close to 33 volunteers.
We had originally thought it was gonna be 40. Mike, we didn't necessarily budget for it, but we thought it was gonna be 40 to 50 grand when we first started.
No, I know. But it's a different situation.
Yeah, no, it's not, but that's,
There's
only volunteers
to
I'm just thinking
bad, we don't have
this
so
year-
many volunteers, it's good we don't pay so much low sat.
Pay people are
Right.
Goodness, bad.
gonna get this.
There was about 16 people last night at the meeting, and then there were another 7 or 8, I believe, on virtual. So, I mean, there definitely was, some good interest. There was a couple of new applicants, which we can vote on tonight or another time, whatever works. I wasn't sure on the logistics on that last night. But, yeah, we're not talking hundreds here, for sure. I mean, 25, maybe.
That's what I was thinking.
And there's a bunch that, didn't show up either, that don't go to the meetings, that still show up and volunteer. So it's a balance, and until we do it for a couple of years to get an idea of where we are,
Yeah.
it's tough.
And 25 people is 30 grand.
Right. So I'm thinking we change it to 25 grand.
Where, is it on here?
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, I see it, no, low cap, is it?
It's
It's supposed to be low.
Low cap, but it's low
Low
sat.
cap.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So we could drop, if we needed to, we could drop that to 30.
The other thing that I noticed that didn't get added in here is the insurance adjustment from the 25 that we budgeted to the 31,423 that we ended up paying this year.
Yeah.
So
Where's that on here? Just help me.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Insurance in the middle.
it's in the middle.
Okay, oh, got it.
So what did you want to make that, Mike?
I was figuring just make it the 31 of what
What we paid this year?
we paid this year. I mean, obviously it's gonna go up, but it's hard to tell, right?
How much? 20?
25 to 31 and a half, so it went up
Yeah.
$6,000.
It was a 25% increase on that, 6,000.
And then the other thing to consider is that
Exactly right,
we're gonna be insuring
5%.
newer ambulances, so the price is gonna go up just like any other vehicle too. Which is a whole other issue.
Did you want to change that low sat thing to like
30?
30 or 25? Just, I mean, it's gonna be whatever it is, but if we guess lower, then we have to have less revenue to hit our budget.
Well, you didn't hear this here. You didn't hear this here, but when this gets close and we're trying to hit budget, we raise our expectation of revenue.
No, I know.
I'm just saying, we don't want to do that a whole bunch, but
Right now, it's probably way.
It's way off.
Yeah.
Well, if they meet the
Well,
requirement.
what was it? It was, what was there? There was requested and proposed, so it's 696 is the proposed on that page 2, and revenue is 600.
Yeah. And, well, no, with all that, with all the the part-time salary in there, the requested is 796,909.
And that's popping that part-time from 250 down to 157. That's pretty much where that 100 is.
That gets you to 692,832. Is where I'm at now with all the changes that we talked about. So I increased, you can see on the screen there, but I increased the insurance to 31,423. And I changed low SAP to 30,000. It gets you 692,832. But that also resets the part-time salary to 157 instead of 250.
Yeah.
Which, now the EMS budget is an interesting one because if you get going through the year and you're bringing in extra money, we can actually change the budget.
Yeah.
And revise it through the year.
And if it's a significant difference, we'll have to, and if we get all that, and if we get less money, we'll have to just make decisions,
Correct.
or whatever we're gonna do.
Correct. Yeah, you could change it either way, really. Say whatever you want, because it doesn't drive taxes.
With all your new paid people, are we bringing in more money?
But
With all your new paid
New
people,
part-timers.
are we bringing in money?
we are bringing in more money, but the delicate balance is how much is it and is enough? Because obviously the billing is anywhere from 2-3 months behind sometimes.
Right.
With the revenue that we're getting back from doing the billing, so it's hard to tell.
But the point is correct. Because we were missing calls because we didn't have enough people, and now if we getting more people, more volunteers, more part-time, maybe we're not missing as many calls, so that's helpful and hopefully bringing that up. And once again, the hope is it brings it up enough to pay for them, of course,
Yeah.
which we don't know yet.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
And the unfortunate part is because of the demographics of the majority of our customers, the amount we bring in is on the lower side just because of the Medicare, Medicaid situation.
I did have a question, the auditor contracted services, you had $7,500 in there? What was that?
Which one, which page is this?
The first
First
line.
thing.
First line.
Top line on page 2, page 1. Top on the big page, top line says 00 and then
Oh, yeah.
750 requested and 0 again.
Legacy, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so in my proposed, I changed that to 0, because I don't think we've ever spent money on that line item.
I don't know,
That's cool.
but we did spend, 10-6 for our legal fees, which we didn't budget, so
Right, but that was very unexpected.
that was very unexpected. Hopefully we don't have to do that again.
Right.
That is,
That's not.
what did I write down on that? Where's legal fees? I wrote down on that one time. It's a one-time deal, yeah.
Yeah.
So but we didn't budget for it, and we're not budgeting for it again, so it really hasn't changed anything. We don't have to add in.
No, but we needed the line to be able to charge the fee to correctly.
So we got it, but we don't have to have anything on the line, we just have the line.
Correct.
That's fine.
I don't see anything like else glaring. Other than on the revenue side, if you look at the revenue page.
Yeah.
So we can claim some, that second line there, interest earnings. We made $17,000 this year on the money that's in the bank. So we probably could say we're gonna make 15,000.
We still have that because we didn't been paying for ambulances yet.
Right.
So we could add some revenue there.
Okay. 17,000.
You want to add 17 there?
Yeah. So that's just, gets made on the money that's in the bank.
Yeah, let's put that
Yeah,
down.
But the other thing too is 200,000 of it's gonna be spent.
Someday, who knows when.
But the good news is they actually mounted or I should say demounted the box from the chassis today.
BCI's actually doing
You're
something.
actually doing something on our behalf. It took them 8 months. But
Where's our frickin' loaner?
And then the other stuff that you see in the revenue, I wouldn't really bank on. Like refund prior years, what we borrowed from last year for this year. I don't know why we did that.
Maybe because the money's always too much to leave.
Well, that could be. And then the same thing like state grants and stuff, we probably, I don't know how to get those, you can't bank on them anyway. But the other revenues, like I'm at 617 right now, should match the expenses, which are 692, 832, 63.
Yeah, so 696 minus
Bump that up.
617.
Yeah, his revenue equals.
So we're down to 679 there, but after that 17 off.
832. So we need to make this 675. $832.63. That makes those two numbers.
That's just taking the 17 off or another piece
I
off?
just take the 17 off. And that goes off the lower salary number. I don't know if I use the lower one or the higher one.
I don't understand the sense.
The cents came from the insurance thing.
Mikey, 17 off of 696, 409 is 679, 409.
Cents came from health insurance.
17 off of the 696, 409 is 679.
692, 832.
Oh, there's 692, not that 696?
Right, because we changed We changed the part-time salary, the insurance, and the low salary. So that brings the total, can't see them on the screen, down there.
Okay,
The total expenses to 692,
okay,
832, and 63 cents.
okay.
63 cents comes from the health insurance.
What was the number up there? Whatever, 692, I got it.
What was that final figure, Mike? 692,
832.
832.
Minus 17 is the 678 that Mike said. Once again, I rounded them up.
So, we got a plan, we're gonna make that, see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know until we try.
You guys don't always play your budget as you go along. You're pretty consistent.
That is true. EMS has consistently been fairly good.
Once again, since I just got this, do we have someplace in here where we're putting money in for future ambulances? Do we have any of that in here?
Like I can tell you, as of today, or whenever I ran this, Friday maybe, you were almost 90,000 up, not based on the budget, but based on your expenses to your billing for this year.
For this year? Which of course, that was money that we want to hold on to for ambulances, but if we need to have it 78 grand more our budget, that's money to pay that.
You could have a carryover.
Yeah, carry over to pay that.
Well, yeah, and plus we spent 122 last year for the other ambulance as well.
And we're still 90 yet.
Yeah, we're still 90, so. It's interesting, even though we didn't cover all the calls that we covered.
Yeah, you're still 90 grand ahead,
Interesting.
based on expenses to revenue. If you factor out that ambulance.
Oh, if we take out the ambulance, yeah, if we keep the ambulance in, we're 30 off.
Even-ish, 30 under maybe.
All these drop calls should be behind us at this point, or we finally through all that fiasco.
We're definitely a lot better. I don't know about all of them.
But we're on the upward.
Okay. The EMS is not like the sewer, it's not a separate entity.
Correct.
So if we budget 608 coming in and we budget 678 going out, even though we can change budgets later, we're gonna have to raise the taxes to pay for that.
Correct.
So if we budget, instead of 602,
I changed it to 675.
and we change that up to 6 something so that it comes out to the 678, it's even, we don't budget that in the taxes. And that's what we should do. And then we'll figure it out as we go along, how it works.
So what are you gonna cut?
We're going to add revenue, we're gonna add, say under ambulance charges, we're gonna add 70-some thousand, $75,000, so that the total revenue is around the 678 that we have for the total budget.
Gotcha.
No, it's
Does that make sense?
Like between all of us, it's probably stretch, because that's like 200,000 up from what we got this year, right now, today. So,
Do we know how much revenue we lost through the drop calls or anything of that sort, ballpark?
it's hard. Like somebody said, we got to look at the year before.
Trend. Because we obviously lost income,
We get
and this year coming up, we shouldn't have that concern.
We lost income plus the budget, another average for 122 grades.
Right, so those two things will.
We do have a cushion in the bank on other use it, especially in operating.
Yeah.
There is much.
If we have a shortfall, we have that to go back on. And
I'm sure insurance, I mean, if everything else going up, I'm sure what they pay has to go up something.
did we finally
We
raise
did just-
our rates that we were going to do?
Yes, we did that a couple months ago.
Yeah, I thought.
So, yeah, what they do, well,
So
other
that's
than,
Locked in the Medicaid.
other than Medicare,
They
Medicaid.
only pay.
Yeah, Medicare and Medicaid were stuck, but everything else we increased it.
You know we want everybody to have insurance. We know that's what
They give you
the dollars are.
30 bucks.
Yeah, I know,
What is
I
it,
have
like $300?
I have gonna stay the hell out.
Not a lot.
Sometimes it's like 150 we get out of for taking somebody to the hospital.
It depends on the times they went.
Huh?
Depends how many times they're gone.
Ouch.
There's all
Yeah, we
sorts
get
of-
150 bucks sometimes when it should be like 5,000. It's crazy.
Doesn't cover gas and wear on the vehicle.
No.
Okay, why?
And that's where some of the problems we had in the past, where some people were treating people differently based on their.
Right, based on the amount they're gonna get, which is not right either.
Exactly, and it just burns me.
So do we want to do that? Do we want to do what we just said? Do we want to take this budget and with the extra 75 in the income part and have it come out even?
That's what we're gonna do.
Let's do that. Is that working? Anybody not like that?
That does lower your part-time salary to 157, but if you bring more money in, then we have more work.
But as long as you guys don't mind, if worst comes to worst and we're starting to struggle with money for salaries, that we can't figure something out. I mean, that's.
We do.
Huh?
We do. We find some matter of way.
Salary's gotta be based on.
Once again, we're assuming if
You're
we're.
not, are you paying for guys just to sit at the station any day, or are they there on call?
Well, we're paying them to be there, and depending on how many calls there are, depends on what our revenue is. So our personnel expenses are in theory fixed, right?
In theory.
With the exception of the volunteers. So the volunteers is what the volatile piece is, but in theory, we can say, we're gonna spend, $500,000 a year on salaries. 24/7, 365 for 2 providers. Worst case scenario.
Right, we can figure that out pretty easy.
Yeah, but the volatility is the volunteers, and then obviously the other volatility piece is how much are we gonna get from the revenue?
Well, that's the crapshoot, because that depends on how many times you get called. And out of the times you get called, how many times you transport, and what type of call is it?
Yep, we've billed per mile and that kind of stuff, but it doesn't matter sometimes.
That's where it helps to have a couple of years worth of data, kind of know where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, as strange as it sounds, it's almost like we're starting over with EMS, because we're having to pay more for salaries. We're supposed to be getting more for revenue, so it's gonna be an interesting time.
And we're trying to break it even. And if we break it even, that does a particular thing. And if we then have to have $170,000 2 years from now for an ambulance, we then figure out how we're gonna do that. Because if we can't put hundreds of thousands in the bank every year, then we'll figure out how to pay for the ambulance.
Yeah,
We can't do that with this.
correct.
Because we don't have a place to cut $70 out of this.
But the other thing we need to look at is facilities, right? Right now, our facility that we're squatting in is non-compliant for what we need.
Right,
We're
you
just-
don't, I mean,
We're squatting.
if we look at like more of a paid agency, you don't have bunk rooms and that kind of thing.
And so if we have people spending the night, which we do, we really need to consider making some changes to the building once the upstairs is habitable.
Or a different place.
Or, yeah, something.
Different places, where I do. That's gonna eventually fall in and just be default.
Hopefully not.
It works for now, but it would have worked a lot longer if the roof was repaired 30 years ago.
But we could build a nice public safety facility outside the flood zone. Get some nice DRI money, some
Okay.
grants.
Yeah, right.
Okay. You're helping me.
All right, anything else EMS, I don't think.
Except that the bunkhouse is gonna be real ranch.
So Rusty's house. Funky Rusty's.
Well, you sold the one building, but if you wanna buy my building for bunks, it's for sale.
Well, it's closer.
Yeah, it's right across the street from the fire station.
Perfect. There's a lot of bunkhouses in there. All right. Should we do DPW next? That's like our biggest.
Before we do that, do you mind if we ask about those 2 applicants?
Oh. Yeah, we could do that actually, because
Could we make a motion?
we can, it's an actual meeting.
Okay.
It was noticed and everything.
That would be great,
Like
because
it.
then they could start, we had Summer Mesler, Mesler, and her first name was Summer, like the season, thank you. She is a college student, she's working on data statistics, she lives in Nichols. She is starting a basics EMT class at SUNY Broome, and she's interested in volunteering, with our EMS.
And did you say she has anything yet at the moment? Does she?
No, she's taking the class at SUNY Broome this summer, so I believe, is it a 5-week class?
I don't know.
I believe it's a 5-week class, it might be 6, but I talked with her for a while at the end of the meeting, she was very nice. And she's very interested in EMS, so.
Are you making
I'll
that
second
motion?
that. Yes, I made a motion, Fran seconded
So I'm always, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Yes. Mr.
I don't know,
Mayor,
President.
I'm so used to all those other boards and the president. Just curious, on every time we do with some of these people, and this one's from Nichols, are they gonna be playing the Owego ride, going with somebody else game? Yeah, I'm always interested to know that. I wanna know if somebody's gonna be playing with Tyler Center too.
I don't think so. I think she's,
She loves Owego, she loves to shop down there.
Just-
She was talking to me about what she likes to do when she comes to Owego, she comes with her mom, and they go to lunch and such. I think she knows Ron,
Probably.
yes. Because
That's
she
nice
mentioned
things.
him.
I wanna know if she
There you go.
has some
But-
intention of doing Tyler
I
Center.
assume she's at least 18 years of age. Is that the minimum age for this?
She's definitely,
I know sometimes you can graduate at 17.
no, she's gonna be a senior in college, I believe, in the fall, so she
yeah,
would
she's
be,
going to Mansfield.
yeah, she would be certainly old enough.
I know who you're talking about.
Okay,
I was too.
excellent. There you go. All right,
Any-
Lisa,
I'm
for a
open.
second. Any other questions?
Okay, we'll vote on some of them. Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
Rusty,
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Daniel.
Could have an address.
You'll have to get that from Mike. I'm sorry, I do not have the address.
But in Nichols.
It was definitely Nichols, I don't remember.
Well, technically, I think she lives in Pennsylvania, but lives on the Nichols border of the state line.
Just give me a
Is that problematic, Mike?
Oh,
Somebody in Pennsylvania?
Just email them.
Okay,
I don't know, no.
We
all
should-
right,
That's something we should probably ask
That's
somebody.
a good Nate question. Nate? Oh, wait, it's not.
all right. Would you like me to send the email tomorrow?
That's probably a good idea.
I will do that. Okay,
If she does actually live. I don't think it's an issue. You never know.
Those are the things you ask.
With insurance and stuff, you never know.
You just ask.
all right. And the second applicant is Riley Davis, Davis.
Riley.
He's looking for some
I
public.
spell Riley.
Riley.
Thank you.
He's looking to do some public service. He graduated from OFA. He works for different restaurants in the area, and he's friends with Adam Johnson. So I think that's how he became interested in EMS.
No, okay.
No address for you.
We didn't hold it against them.
I don't. Yeah, I didn't get the addresses last night. I'm sorry.
No,
Where'd
he
you say?
lives in the village.
He does live in the village. Yes.
And just, if we're not supposed to know how old somebody is, just a general feel, how,
He graduated somewhere in the teens. He's certainly over 18.
fine.
I'll second that.
Adam Johnson is a good referral.
Any other discussion on it? Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Fran,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Charles,
Yes.
and yes.
Enough business, back to the budget.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sure.
Get out of here, so we can cut all that crap when you're done.
It's all right. I know where you're off.
That's where you guys are gonna be sleeping.
Thank you.
Okay, public safety.
I think a few of those magazines need to be in the front house, just to like be approved, right? Yes.
All right, let's do DPW.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's our biggest one. It is, 1.8 million to 2.03 million.
18 to 2035 there, is that what it is?
Yeah. Most of which is probably salaries and benefits.
What's that?
Most of which is probably salaries and benefits.
That's pretty much what it is. For the DPW, just the salary alone was 121, now it's 132. But here's my question, I don't know if that's Mike Park still in that or what?
Yeah, Mike Howell?
Yes.
Well, yeah, and I don't know where each person falls as far as their salaries and all the.
So bear with me, because this is the first time I did salary numbers, and that wasn't that good.
Right, you've got salary and DPW and streets. And
Yeah, well, that's another thing that was messed up from last year.
there's lots of salary lines
Yeah,
within your department.
correct. Because, goes up to 62 for salary from 58.
Full-time salary, page 1.
Call it the page.
Codes up to, like in the middle of the grade.
Where it code.
But yeah, 58 to 62.6, which I assume is just 3%.
Yes.
3% of 58 is about $2,000.
But I don't know where that falls though, because Mike would be part of that streets. Because I'm not gonna replace him.
All right, because streets go from 216 to 219. Might be a good Nikki question. That might be a good Nikki question to figure out which one.
Yeah, I don't,
Two full-time salaries.
but I don't have the numbers, so I don't really know.
I would have thought you took them out.
Where's the street, which salary line you talking about now?
Street light, street department.
Oh, street lights.
216, no, streets.
Street department.
Am I on the wrong page here?
It's
It's
on page
yellow
1.
on the bottom. And then there's,
What am I missing?
So you're talking about street department, full-time salary or part-time salary or
Any
something?
one of them.
Okay, but that's what we're talking about, is like
Yeah.
how it's changed. So we're looking at these two lines right here.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but where does it say streets? Over
On
on
the
the far
right
right.
Oh,
Thank
the
you.
locations,
The other one.
yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
and the same, the cemetery department salary is way different.
Well, here you.
It's not that. Parks?
Do you have any like?
Cemetery, I got it.
anything behind that? I mean, what did I see? We spent 120,000 this year.
What I'm saying is that nothing was, it was taken out of the cemetery all year.
Right.
Nothing was ever changed. Because half the year they have to be in streets because they do sidewalks.
Oh, and I will say, and this is a general fund thing, in general, Nikki found that our HRA money, our health reimbursement account, was never included in the benefit numbers, ever. So it is now. For a department like DPW, I got the numbers on my desk, but it was like $53,000.
Yeah.
It's in here now that wasn't in here last year.
To be honest, I say cut the whole damn pool and be done with it. 65 grand,
You could try that.
but I mean, like, seriously. We're pumping so much money into this, there's no appreciation for it, it's killing our guys, and it's costing the farm away.
Hey, you know
I don't know
who?
what we're talking about now.
You could try that. Everybody
But I'm
else
sorry, I
try
don't think it's worth
Everybody
65 grand a
should
year.
check
I'm a taxpayer that doesn't use it, I just go to people
That's
that
on the
don't
next
use
page.
it. Start billing like we do for EMS. You wanna use it to pay for service.
Mike, is that under health insurance DPW on page 4 now that we're talking for the HRA? And so it was 200, now it's 219?
Oh, I see
Is that what you're talking
Where-
about?
where we at?
In the blue.
Page 4.
Page 4, blue, third from the bottom of the blues, health insurance, budgeted 219 is what we're
So
proposing. Is
now
that
they can.
what you're talking about for the HRA?
Right, HRA numbers in there now.
Okay, that's a.
So we have to
pretty
put it in
simple-
there, but generally that doesn't get used, but it can.
Correct.
That's the street.
We just gotta be
If they
prepared.
use it all, that's what they would use.
I'm sorry?
If they had to use it, that's the highest it could go.
And, I mean, the
It
insurance
could be
is in there
zero,
too.
it could be zero.
Right, that's what I'm just saying. The money's, we have to budget for it, but it's likely that much of it won't get used, so we'll not use that money out of here, but we can.
But you
I've
can
got a
see-
bunch of people get sick and use it.
It could be a 2%.
You can see this year we budgeted 200,000 and we've used 104,000. So there's 60,000 that we didn't use this year so far.
That's just, I mean, that's, we got a budget, but we're prepared that we might get a bunch of that back.
Right. We likely do.
Yeah.
But it's good that that number's in there now, because she couldn't find where it was before. So,
But again, once again, that, the month back, would there have been as much as 60,000 difference between the 200 and the 141 we used? Would there have been that much in it?
possibly.
Because it's $6,000 a person and we got about 13 of them, yeah, that could be. Okay.
Fred, are there any other line items that are like way
No, just
different
the salaries.
salaries this year?
No, not, mine are real close, other than a few $1,000s here and there, but other than that.
How many more years on the two?
Range of one.
You're paying for it.
Oh, you mean how many more years do we have to pay?
You don't know.
I think we took it out for 4 years, maybe 5 years.
Yeah, so it wasn't horribly long, but we didn't do a long finance.
We'll check on it.
Oh, we didn't wanna go over 5 years
Right.
because of the bond, yeah.
What's that been, 2 now?
For at least
This will be the second.
Who's 3?
What about the revenue from, like, building permits and stuff like that?
That's on the revenue side.
Codes?
But like, yeah, but like it's in red and it says $100 and we,
Where's
you know, we've got more than 4 projects going on.
Where's red on that?
Well, don't also forget that the property maintenance is way in the red because of the car.
You're looking at a whole different piece of paper now.
You're on the code side, right?
Is it in this? You're just confusing me on that.
Well, yeah, I guess we're talking about expenses, but I jumped to revenue just because
Where's
like.
revenue in our new page?
It's in the first page.
First page.
And I don't know where building permits go, like there's code enforcement, and we budgeted $100 for, we got 900 this year.
I gave,
Oh, that's over here that I'll find it.
I don't know. DPW page 1.
I don't see any other like street opening permits. That's not building
The
permits.
street opening permits we get from Veolia, we get a lot of money from Veolia. Where that money goes is beyond me.
Well, that's a good question, because this year it says 0. that we
Okay, it's,
You know, because I know that
it's
we,
not in color, it's the
Veolia-
second page here.
we might not have paid it this year, but they paid us at the end of the year for what they did.
Okay.
But they have paid us, and it's quite a bit of money.
Maybe they just didn't pay us yet.
Okay, so.
So if we quit frogging around, partly my fault, everybody's fault, and raise those fees like we keep talking about raising them, especially street opening and other things.
Yeah.
That will
Yeah, but it's like,
help significantly.
Yeah, I wanna make more money off of those things.
That would
we
help
gotta
the
put it
revenue.
in the budget or put it in the code and all that.
Parking tickets.
Because it seems like the last 2 or 3 weeks, every single day, somebody's in that street.
The prosecutor's department could throw them all.
That street, any street, a street. They're
Dismissed.
digging a street
Oh, yeah.
every single day.
Code
They got
enforcement,
guys down there, right?
which is probably where building permits go, we made $900 this year, we only budget 100 coming in. We could increase that
Will you increase
to
my?
1,000 on the revenues.
Oh,
And we have, zeroed out the Erie Street generator. What's up with that?
At the end. Is it on there?
Well, that was our match.
That's not on.
Apartment, right? Or no?
We're going all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're talking about the grant for the
Sewer
Erie Street generator?
oh, I guess that's for the sewer
Oh,
department,
yeah.
wait.
DPW does not have to worry about trash removal at the skate park because I actually take care of that. You're very welcome.
Yes, I have.
Huh?
I have cleaned up it before you even get around there.
Oh, really?
Let's take
I'm
that,
making it too late?
let's take that $11 out.
There's been a couple of times where they left a lot of trash around there.
Maybe we need a bigger trash can, you think?
The trash can wasn't full.
Oh, so we just leave it.
It's called laziness.
Ah. So
Literally.
thank you guys, because I come over there and I never see anything. So you guys are up earlier than me.
Well, the trash can's over to Weissman's being sold.
Those plastic.
Another change you'll see is chips, which I,
Now, where are we again? Now, where are we, Mike?
it's on the page 2 of DPW.
Chips is
Stage
281.
Right. Which I matched that on the revenue, because that's money we get from the state to maintain the
Oh,
roads.
we're back on the big
The
revenue.
next rollover.
Okay.
Right now, I'm still waiting on for Temple Street in front of the OPD station, getting that done, and the truck.
That's not.
So when you're looking at numbers, that 281 basically zeroes itself out.
Gotcha. So the 281 on there is taken care of in revenue side.
Correct. Because that's money we get from the state for road maintenance.
But that's already included in the pluses and minuses, right? Yeah, of course. All right, so where were we again? So back to it. From last year to 138 grand, and the 235, that's $197,000 more. Are we finding some of those? I'm on page 4 here where the final budget, last year was 1837, and the new one is 2035, that's $197,000 difference. Which is what we said in the beginning here where we said, no, we didn't say about DPW.
I mean, most of it's in the salary line items, it's not really in the detailed line items.
And can we, is it, okay.
What's your plan for sale, like, are you adding people, keep same number of people?
Well, one kid's leaving. That was here all year. That was part-time. He's leaving. Mike's leaving. I mean, we're going to need at least part-time for the cemetery.
But this is not a good thing for it. I mean, it's a good thing as far as the bottom line goes that we're getting rid of a pile of salary, but it's not a good thing for us because we don't have enough people over there to start with.
Right. But we just need to know what to plan for.
Yeah.
Which, this is part of that, of hiring Jen. From how I took it from Nikki, because it's over my head on these numbers. We took it from Nikki of getting rid of Mike and adding Jen on full-time.
Yeah.
And then giving the laborers that haven't been here a little bit of dollar over minimum wage.
Yeah, we discussed that last week.
So let me ask you a quick question, Fred, if you can. When's Mike leaving?
This Thursday.
And do we know just generally what his package is, how much he gets
I
in
would
salary
say
and
50 a
benefits?
year,
Sorry?
50 a year.
No, it's not my desk, the total.
Well, the total of the insurance, I don't know, but I'm saying yearly wage wise, it's about 50.
Mike, how gets 50 grand?
It's pretty big.
That's 20.
With his overtime and everything?
No, that's only $25 an hour. He doesn't get more than that?
It's on my desk.
It's not much more than that.
Is that what you think it is?
I don't remember. Like with
It's crazy what these guys.
benefits and retirement and all that kind of stuff, it's probably pretty decent.
It wasn't even.
What do you think that, I'm just trying to guess, is it 50 salary, 40 benefits, is he a 90 grand guy? That's the reason I'm asking all that stuff. So if he leaves and Freddie,
But
if Mike leaves and we promote somebody else that's part-time to full-time.
Yep.
That we've got,
she'd be about $17 an hour, and he's going to be 25 to 26-ish.
how about benefits for her?
She'll have the benefits, yes.
I don't know, these are all.
I don't know the benefit numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just curious about how much difference we're gonna save there. From that to that, and I'm curious about then replacing her with a part-time.
That opens up another hole.
Yeah, that's another, 17 grand is 35, $17 an hour is 35 grand a year.
Do you plan to replace
No benefits.
that person, the part-time person, with a new part-time person?
No, I'm thinking for just summertime. I'm good for winter if I can find kids to work in the summer at the cemetery. That's what I have enough that what stays now that would do all the sidewalks we have. I'd be good. I won't have to hire him now. I have a guy in mind, yes. For part-time only, summertime, no. That's what we need.
Should we be talking salaries? I don't know, what should we talk about in open session? We talk that?
Just don't use names.
So, Freddie, if we were to take a part-time person and move them up to full-time, and they've been making 17-ish an hour, how much would we be paying them full-time?
Still paying them the 17 plus their benefits.
What's the union say they have to pay?
I can't hear you.
What's the union say they have to pay them?
Doesn't
So
say.
it's very set.
Oh, it doesn't, no. As long as they don't go over the labor that's already here now.
Right. The lowest.
Lowest full-time
Right,
guy.
which I'm not, I'm under that.
Who's it?
'Cause he's gonna get a
What's our
3%.
lowest full-time now, Freddie?
1750.
Okay, so we bring up somebody that's part-time and we put them in at 17, or they're already at 17 at part-time. We put them in at 1750 because we can't put them anymore, blah, blah, blah. 17, what?
So she is only at 16 an hour.
Okay, so, but they go on full-time and they get, pretend 1750, I'm just making a number. That's, around 38 grand. And we're paying somebody else 50-some, 52, so we're 14 down, better there. Plus, we lose the part-time salary. 16 an hour is 15 grand a year. So we lose that, we get that, plus the 14, we get almost 30 there, plus probably less benefits. No, this is just how we're gonna save some money here on this particular play.
Well, the one that's leaving that's part-time, yeah, there's no benefits. So we're not,
Yeah,
just this $16 an hour we're losing. Or you can gain it.
But my point being, the benefits are likely, when that person goes to full-time, will not be as much as the person's benefits that are on full-time. We'll have a benefit saving.
Losing Mike is huge.
Oh, yeah, it's a good job. On your, getting your stuff done.
Yeah.
Oh, I noticed that. No,
I
Jeremy.
want to have some software for code and DPW so that they can do their jobs faster and have everything,
You want to look at that.
you know.
You're talking software stuff.
Where's like a software line in this?
Hang on, Darrell.
Okay. So we can,
Their contract services was already at 4,500. They were good with that. This is Nick doing his budget. Postage
In a minute.
and office supplies.
You're gonna have to
And like I said, under the property maintenance is at 2,400. It was 21,000 because of the car. That's the car right there.
but like, what about like, for the whole,
In the training, we moved it up from 400 to 1,500.
but just like for DPW as a whole, for how you're keeping track of like the records of like.
This is part of
everything
that, that's part of that new software that he's looking to get. It's under the training,
So training's only got 1,500 though.
yeah.
So that won't, that's like probably for training and not for software.
Ooh, that's a good question. Telephone and tablets, that's applied, yeah,
It's probably not under his section, it's probably under like,
that's his section is covered. That's what he filled out.
but what about like
Under
under
the salary.
DPW, you've got something for your computers, right? And your
I don't know computers, not unless it's office stuff.
Yeah, no, at the village level, there's a line for IT, like in the cloud.
IT's from the county.
For most of the departments.
But they're gonna need something like anywhere from 4,000 to 7,000 for
That's
a
actually
year.
fire department's zero.
Contract services is at 4,500. That would fall into their
But
computers.
that'd be like hiring a
Separate stuff.
professional engineer to do something or to help them out, and because they're not licensed to do it themselves, you know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they're using something, because this year they spent $4,500 on it. The exact budget amount.
Yeah, he was.
They're using it for something. Question is what? They're using
Well,
it for
they have that software on their computer. They're thinking about upgrading them. But like I said, he's used it, and this is what he filled out,
something. I
or
wonder
that
if
we
he's-
filled out.
I wonder if he's using it for the software.
That is part of that, yes.
But that software doesn't have like the things that they would need, you know, it's just basic stuff that's for printing out of, like when they have a code thing, they can like put in the address and spit out like you know, an easier report. It doesn't help them like keep their records. And they don't currently have the records, you know, we're gonna pull out the,
I know what you're saying, but
Box.
that's what he wrote down. We wrote down together. I was with him, and this is what he said.
so let's just put it in there that we need software to like do stuff to like get the office in order.
You wanna add stuff to the budget?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
because we're trying to get $197,000 off.
That's the only way we'll be able to keep track of what we're doing and like
Yeah,
not have extra expenses, you know, saves us time.
saves us time.
So how does the salary play with the union negotiations that we have to go through here in a month or so?
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna jack this number, it's gonna.
Well,
Did Freddie,
it could not,
did Freddie put pretended 3% raise in there?
probably.
I mean, I see an
Yeah,
increase in the.
Did you do that, Fred, on those salaries?
Is that-
Okay,
The 3%.
okay, Freddie says he's put 3% in there. Whether that's what we do or not, but still.
Because only the full-time guys are in the union.
What's the
Full-time
contract?
only get the 3%.
Page
So,
3,
1, 2,
Where are you, Ron?
so.
page 3.
Sorry.
Oh,
Go ahead,
I'm
Ron, get in
you
there.
asking me a question?
Yeah, the
Oh.
contracted services on top of page 3. You budgeted 2,500, spent nothing, but you're asking
Where
65.
we at? Whoa, slow down. We're in the street department?
Parks, it's under parks.
Oh,
The
parks.
very top one on the top of page 3.
Yeah, we did spend zero this year so far.
Where we at with theirs?
The blue top line contracted services
Parks.
went up from 2,500 to 6,500 under parks. Have you got this code thing?
Contracted
Where you got
services, right?
Jumped $4,000, we didn't spend anything out of the 2,500.
Is yours like this?
No, I use it. I got it right. I got it. Global comes out of that. Our contract services come out of the global hasn't come out yet because they haven't sprayed. And.
Is that the spraying of the fire station upstairs?
No, this is passenger electric.
That would, yeah, that would be
Hang on one
parks,
second.
that would be parks, sorry.
140. Contracted services, water test services. Okay, so the contract also is for all the backflow preventers.
Oh, to test them,
What's that?
to test them every.
All of our testing that we take care of.
So what do we
And,
expect that to run?
huh?
Do we expect that to run 6,500?
Well, then you had the backflow preventers that we put on it. They were just $4,600.
Is that gonna be every year? expensive?
No.
Is that a-
That's done.
So that would potentially just disappear next year,
Yes.
hypothetically.
We'll always have to have global. We'll also always have to have backflow preventer, which there's 8 to 9 of them on our department. He's got 1 or 2. Yeah. Fire station, so that's per unit.
They inspect those every year.
Every year they gotta be
They
inspected.
gotta check these.
Here, there's 2 here.
I was just curious about the $4,000
Yeah.
increase. Just the replacement of the set.
But global, let mind you, global and backflow preventers haven't come out.
That's why it still says 0.
We have what, 2 months left? A month and a half, somewhere in that area? Exactly, the garbage disposal in town.
All the garbage that we spent for the, on Thursday, that garbage at Taylor's went up this year. Shocker.
Well, I think it's us spending money picking up after people.
You seen the bill for the garbage?
That's all the garbage on the cans around town.
Yep.
So who picks up after all these festivals?
We have before, usually, most of the time, they had the Boy Scouts, Mike. Boy
Yeah, they used
Scouts,
to pay
this
them to
year
do
for the Strawberry Fest, they're having Casellas do it. So we don't have to do it that time.
But if we do have to do it, we should keep billing for this.
The last time we did, and they paid us.
Typically HOS is.
Where that money goes, I couldn't tell you.
Not in your pocket.
No.
Another question, what the hell? What's miscellaneous?
Where are we at?
Page on, Ronnie.
Page 2, number
Are you on Park
400.
still?
Oh, street department.
What color is it in?
Street
Ron?
department?
Oh, I see
Yeah.
it. Halfway down the yellow, 300 up to 1,300.
Something else that hasn't been billed out yet, I assume?
Yeah, okay. What do you want to know on street department?
Miscellaneous is pretty generic term.
Miscellaneous.
Beautification.
From 300 to 1,300. And we spent $86.
Hang on 1 second. Little cheat sheet going.
What page?
Page 2,
Right.
right in the middle of the yellow
Right,
section.
know what it is.
Really, with this budget, it's tough. We have the salary cost.
And there's not a lot of fat.
No.
There hasn't been.
We're nickel and diming at best. We might get it down 10 grand.
Yeah, how are we gonna get it down 197, right?
Fred's gonna start volunteering this time.
What's that? What I do?
Just say yes.
Yes. This for you, Ronnie.
Thanks.
No problem.
Even though I live in Muscatine Road, but you're probably not gonna afford your house anymore.
With the little changes we've made, we're still at 27%. And we still need to find $608,000.
Oh, we're still paying for those lights that got thrown out, right?
No, no,
Smart watt?
the street light, that's the street lights that we did 10 years
So
ago.
that he was asking about is all the
It's only got
concrete
finders
work,
got-
asphalt work.
took 'em out.
And I haven't got to you yet because we've been doing trees and raining. I haven't got to it.
You threw me off on the house. We took those trees out.
Sorry.
You know what happened was-
But that's what that's for, and you're gonna see that go quickly as soon as we're done with them. Because there's a lot of holes that need to be milled out. Erie Street, there's spots that need to be milled out, paved. You'll see that disappear quickly. As soon as I can get onto that. Summer.
What kind of income are we leaving on the table every year? Like vendor fees, things like that we usually forego? Not gonna help us at this point, but
There's like park rentals.
I'm more thinking.
We haven't
net
limited
fees and
any
stuff
park
like
rentals yet,
HOA,
that's-
the Strawberry Fest, aren't we supposed to be getting some kind of payment from all these vendors?
No, we don't get any kickback from Strawberry Fest.
But shouldn't we be getting payment from these vendors in some sort for operating in the village? I mean, if I did that on my own, I gotta pay a permit fee, do I not? You're talking 200 vendors, 300 vendors?
$300 or whatever it is. Right, what's the?
What are you talking about, Ron Strawberry or something else?
The Strawberry Fest,
No.
that's on the river, I don't care what.
No, I'm just saying, the Strawberry,
Yeah, we worked
Fest,
it, we set it
they
up.
take the vendor money to pay for the festival, we have let them do that.
Right, we forego, and they're not cheap, they charge quite a good amount of money.
Number, but I'm not
Here, back.
saying nothing wrong with that, but over here, they're not gonna do that festival if they don't have that money, because they don't have any, unless they were to go out and get some sponsorship that they don't get now.
What they do, they just have to give it back every year, because they get it from, more places.
I propose we hold on to that don't take after Strawberry Fest, and we could charge residents to dump us.
Us meaning you,
Oh, I'm in it.
that's what I said, us meaning you.
In my personal opinion, that Strawberry Fest could disappear, and I would not cry one bit. The village residents don't like it, the business owners don't like it. Well, it's just a reality, it's not for the community at all.
I was in Ithaca today, in Cornell campus, and there was people talking about the Strawberry
I
Fest.
don't do Strawberry Fest because it sucks my business. Like, I lose money because I can't sell my products for graduations, for ceremonies, for weddings, like, it's a farce. They put so many competition out there, it's supposed to be for the village doors, and they just suck it right away from the village.
It doesn't cost us any money to do it. They pay for everything.
Right. But it does cost us money, because now that tax dollars that they're paying those vendors are not staying here. They're putting that trickle down from the state or the county.
Did we bring any rental in from Marvin Park last year, over this past year?
No, because the bathroom was 100.
Is it bad?
It will be in a couple of weeks.
We're having a ribbon cutting.
Good bathroom.
Eventually. Once it's-
Toilet paper cut?
It's about ready.
Well,
The bathroom is about ready. I've made a stencil for the doors that says, "I'm sorry we were bored."
Yeah, right.
Because if you don't think they're gonna vandalize that, you've never lived here for the last 50 years.
Still gotta get the codes for the cameras.
But that's something else we need to vote on. If Joe's gonna have his guys locked indoors because of porcelain sinks and stuff, you know, they ain't gonna let us know for sure.
I'm gonna ask
Well,
you.
just like the old bathroom, we have one.
I gotta like it when we get in.
We got professional
So-
copper
What
wire.
else do we have for DPW? Because there's a big one, and there's not, like, I don't see a lot of places to pack besides salaries. Which will leave us with even less people. to do the stuff.
Now, I don't know right this minute, Mike, we're gonna have to do some more on that. I've got all my markings on all the pages of all the things are up and down.
It is the last year of the smart lock payment.
Where's that on there, Mike? On which page is that?
Lighting.
Well, that's $55,000.
Page 2 in the orange, thank you. Smart lock payment, 55, and this year's 55, and then we're done. That's good for next year.
Right.
That's gonna be paying for when lock go on, the lights keep going
And
on.
unless you did what, right?
Unless we paid early. It's due August 31st.
That smartwatch has nothing to do with the DRI, that was the.
Okay. We gotta pay them guys.
That was our LED
every time they
lights.
come and fix that.
Right.
That was the LED street light.
To save
Yeah.
significant amount of electricity and money.
We did save a lot of money in electric
But
costs.
do we have to pay them every time they come out to fix that?
No.
Because
Which I'm
we're,
happy for.
that's the part-time
I'm sad
salary.
for because,
10 grand.
because that encourages you to save.
No, they
So-
fix them every time
No.
they're not charged us.
But I'm happy to save.
All right.
And I want us, you know, that's what I want us to work. I want us to save the money. I don't know that I think it's gonna, but I want it to. But it's parking.
What's that?
Which parking?
Fred, what do you charge, what do you use for the parking line item?
Just a parking line item, one singular item.
Where are we on?
Where we at now?
Page 2 towards the bottom, it's just a
No, no,
single.
I was the, what the.
Parking in the pink.
Just parking,
Oh,
that's what it says.
Is that parking 1400?
Right between lighting and parks.
1400?
It's in pink on page 2, and it's
I don't have
$1,400.
it, so I don't know anything about it.
for like paint and lines or something?
No, we don't generally have a budget for
So the
that.
parks he's saying?
It says parking.
Parking.
It says
I don't know who.
Parking.
It's $950 out of it, I just don't know what it is.
we budgeted 14, we got 14 this year, and we used 950. I'm with you, I don't know what it is either. but-
It's just
I
a.
have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I don't have that one. That's for the marriage business line.
I mean, it's but nine.
I have no idea what it is.
You see it on there, we still don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
And sometimes we put line items in there without necessarily having something, but we just don't remember what.
We'd have to have
Great question, I have not a clue.
We'd have to have Nikki look what we charge for that.
Yeah, well, I think we spent that 950.
10 cents.
That's pretty,
Let me see, let me look on my cheat sheet.
The mayor's parking tickets.
I don't go downtown.
Is it $10?
Yeah, that's right. Ain't going- ain't driving downtown. I'm getting me a little bike with a little lawnmower engine on it.
It's not really.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Drives around my block every day, every night.
There you go. You hear that?
You hear that?
Parking, striping lines.
So striping.
It is for striping.
For the paint we buy.
Fine enough.
Oh, yeah, the paint
That's what it's
was
for.
Okay, okay, I never knew that. Yeah,
Someone will not pay parking fees when we village here.
Joe is.
Let's put some parking meters.
I like that idea. I get shot down every time I bring it up.
Now we gotta have Joe on a bicycle all day. That's not what I wanna see.
It's good.
You only have a maiden person and all they do is get paid through the fees. It's a win-win.
Turn off the bicycle.
Keep people moving.
Oh, man. Joe and spandex? It's like me and Speedos.
Nobody wants to see. Who's in
So,
speed?
are we?
Yeah, I'm good.
Do you have any other questions for Fred on his line item?
We're gonna have to work on that some more.
You think you start doing car wash in your park? Well, you got all the questions of the lines. Figure out.
We're hoping.
So, just flipping pages, the court asked for less money, so. I don't think that's ever happened, so I mean, we have to look at that one.
Alrighty.
Where are we on, where are we in the court?
They asked for money.
Where are they on the thing?
We're behind the DPW.
Behind DPW? Okay. Thank you, I'll find it. I got it. Page 1, court, on top of the fire department, about 10 pages or so back.
The retirees went way up, and we can't change that.
Is this on that court, or is this on something else?
No, there's another sheet of retirees.
Yeah, so
It went from 85,000 to 141,000.
Where's that, Mike?
Couple sheets in.
Couple sheets in, thank you.
Wow.
It'll say retirees on the top.
Got it. Nope, I don't got it, got rid of it. Clerk.
Right after OFD,
I'm sorry?
right after OFD. Page 2, OFD,
It's a very small.
Are we at court?
Oh, what? Retirees.
retirees.
Where we are,
Right after
Just
OSP is
before EMS.
retirees, okay. Let me find that.
This is for EMS.
Lefty, I got retirees, that's
Yeah. All I'm saying is. it
6
went way
pages.
up,
We have more retirees.
Because we got more retirees that we gotta pay,
Then we gotta pay health insurance till they die?
right? So we went from 85 grand a year to 141. Right?
We picked up Tracy's,
Probably half.
how, they pay a share, but not sure. They pay a share. And that goes until they get Medicare age.
Right.
And they go out.
Health insurance for retirees, plus $56,000.
Rod? When they hit Medicare, age like 65, it comes off.
Yeah, then we don't have to come.
Well, not completely.
Yeah.
What's that, Mike?
We do, we still cover them at some point.
After Medicare, we still do?
Plan B or something.
Yeah, something like that.
But that's not the police.
Correct, yeah, the police is different. I don't know what happens.
That's true, that's not the police, that's not the police.
It all gets rolled into that retiree number. Their plan is to issue the cost. The clerk, the budget went down.
Okay.
I'm going back.
How'd you do that, Rodney?
Thanks, Fred.
Clerk's towards the top.
Yeah.
Is Freddie out?
Four,
Good.
six.
Get out of here.
Is that what you want to do?
Said Freddie, is Freddie out? Good.
Yep, I'm out.
Get him out.
Peace out. Get back over where you're going.
Have a good night, y'all.
Thanks, Fred. So on the clerk, on page two of the clerk there, half a page of color. And it's about 5 pages into the thing.
Yeah, I don't see OPD.
Are we going to clerk now? Where are we going?
Section?
We can go to clerk.
No, I thought you were going to clerk, Mike. I don't know.
We can, I mean, there's nothing.
No, let's go to Jones. Came out here.
We
I'm
don't have
looking
it.
for OPD, I don't think
I
I
don't have it.
Awesome.
No budget for you.
Well, I'm glad we made you come all this way, Joe, and spend all this time.
It's not there, y'all. Looking. It's not there.
It ain't in here. Nope, it ain't in here.
We got the old stuff, right?
Anybody find it? Or do I gotta go for it?
You got it.
Go, but
It's not there.
ready.
We got the revenue
I'll go
pages.
for it.
We got OPD revenue or OFD?
Right here.
Once again, nobody's got that.
Okay,
Let me go print. Take my word for it. Let me go print OPD. What's that?
So what the hell?
I'm the guy with
Yeah,
the new
it's
eye.
like-
That's because I had to make
in
it
our mailbox.
5 minutes before the
You
meeting.
ran out of
Good
ink.
luck with that.
Yeah, it doesn't say which department, but you can tell that it's.
Yeah,
police.
that's,
It's too scary.
So let me go print OPD.
John's doing
And
that.
then we'll look at it.
What's wrong with your clerk question?
Oh, no, yeah, we were talking about, let me see real quick, Rodney, clerk, oh, on the final page there, it says that we budgeted 452 last year and you want 401 this year.
Mostly because Cindy's.
Cindy's gone?
Yeah.
Good,
Basically.
because she was gonna retire, but we were carrying 2 before. Well, that's good though, that's still 50 grand gone down.
That's something.
You would think with, of course, there should be someplace else where those benefits left, because you would think that would be her salary, we think there'd be another 40 grand in benefits.
I know, they're spread out between the sewer fund.
Oh, I forgot about that, we did that, yeah,
We got one shot.
I got you.
So it's spread out. Yeah.
But I need to go through it again anyways, let me see what you got, just cause I need to. No, just see if there's anything that went up a shitload. 15 Scarf, sorry, I keep forgetting we're on. Sorry about my language, gang, I keep forgetting we're in TV.
Guys, we're gonna have a little retirement party for Mike. How? Here, Friday.
This Friday.
We're just gonna have hot dogs and hamburgers. Big cake, so. He's retired, and he's actually retired Thursday. We're gonna have a little party.
We're gonna be working.
Give me a little cake, give us his horse, and
$13th.
Like now, I'll be making.
That's a
Friday the 13th.
This,
It's our way.
this coming Friday, Rodney?
I love it when it falls apart.
Noon time?
For my cow,
We're
that's.
just gonna do basics.
Yeah.
I don't have to, the city used to do all that.
Is Mike gonna be cooking on the back porch?
Yeah, we're gonna cook wherever we can cook.
My cow, what time is that?
Hamburgers,
Noon,
hot
right?
dogs.
Noon, Friday the 13th.
Just pop over.
Shared Services County IT.
Yeah, yeah, going up on it.
Now, that was 38, it says 22, so she was saying something about it, but I didn't get it. That's not accurate?
No, that might be accurate. What time you raise it 100%?
Fiscal.
We budgeted last year 38.3, and it says 22 this year. It's in the
What page?
page 1 under the clerk, in the, we got orange and dark brown, and then below that is kind of light tan. No, that's shared services, I'm on the wrong line.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm on the right line.
Yeah, that's shared services.
Shared services IT. And it says 38.3 over on one side and 22 on the other side.
That's probably accurate.
So that's 16 grand down.
I mean, you know.
I mean, good for us, but
We gave up the emails, right?
We did that, but we've also paid for some of the.
Yeah, our
equipment
trucks
we had and all that kind of stuff. We've done trucks this year.
no, I mean, so much, it's nice if some piece I see went down, because so much of it goes up and up and up.
Probably went up
For this shared services IT?
the cyber insurance now, the protection insurance.
Because it's 38.3 last year, 22 this year. I just wondered if that was one.
We purchased, new equipment.
Okay.
And so I think that was like a one-time purchase.
Okay,
But like, I think our
there's other IT pieces, I
IT
just,
thing is,
I'm just wondering about that piece, I know there's other.
what our contract is,
Okay.
is 22,000.
Something
Okay.
Friday or Monday.
And then
Okey-doke.
we just made extra purchases other one-time. The speaker
Just get up,
and
go to
the
work.
computer box.
I'm-
Dress,
Okay.
go to work.
I'll say I just,
Eat.
But we don't, like, we don't, I guess we got some computers with it, but they're all over everywhere.
I just was curious on where it went down.
So Charles, you have any cats now?
Okay.
Nope.
We do
I
that.
go to Stray Haven,
We started doing
pet the
it.
kitties. Stray Haven and,
Yeah. We set dinner.
Every cat
right
you
now,
need.
Friday,
I take my
Saturday.
niece there, she volunteers.
Oh, okay.
I get my cat fix, kitty fix.
I don't know what that is.
Make the brisket in the crock pot.
I don't know what that is.
It's takes a long process, it's really short.
Yeah. But it came up. Taco one or something like that.
Thanks, Mike.
Right, probably take it five.
Yeah, I saw him not too long ago, he was like, yeah, I understand, you gotta make it.
I said Billy's paid for
I'm
school
always
crossing.
checking it out. I mean, like he says he's gonna talk about it.
Why? Well, they say
or
it's-
something like that.
Did it taste bad?
No, not for those.
Well, we don't pay for the buses.
Okay.
I mean,
Are we on police now?
Hey, you know what? Guess what? Guess what?
Joe's fault, it's not in the packet. Whatever.
Here.
He made me print the spreadsheet out over the police
Doesn't
station, they have different
actually-
size figures. It's like this printer, I got a print here, didn't have that thing, so it didn't print. Yeah, so police is going from 1.3 million to 1.6. Not my fault.
Just 300 grand.
So, we can go through it, again, most of it's salary. I will say, you'll see a line in here, the police SRO, which was in last year's budget, 192,000. That's on the revenue side, if we get 224 from the school.
So this budget from the police doesn't include revenue.
Correct. The revenue at the village level is in another.
Did the budget last year at 131 include revenue?
Yes. Well, no, it still had the expenses.
So with our 131 last year,
That included 192.
that included the money we got for the SROs, so that the 169 this year includes the money we got for, so that's not, it's not 200 grand less for the SROs, it's the same.
Correct. I'm just saying that line item, like the chips, cancels out.
Point there being, it's not that it's, yeah, the budget is up the 300 grand, but those numbers, either the 1.3 last year or the 1.6 this year, are not reflective of how much the police department spends, because it doesn't include all the monies that they bring in.
Right.
So it doesn't include the 238 or whatever for the SROs, and if we have two cops grant guys, it doesn't include that 180.
Correct. So like last year, we budgeted for them to bring in 400 grand between the school and the cops grants.
Okay.
However, that didn't happen for a cops grant because we had 2 officers on cops grant leave. So we didn't get 2 more to replace that, so there was no revenue there, and part-time guys worked those hours. And we picked up year 4 of one of the cops grant guys that we originally had.
And in the salary numbers, you have budgeted for 2 new cops grant guys, right?
Yes.
So that's in the full-time salary. Correct. The part-time salary, do you want to explain how you got to that number? Because that's a big jump from 206,000 to 350,000.
It is, and I don't know exactly how it happened, except for last year I asked for 348, which
Correct.
was what I was gonna spend, and then we said that we took money out of one line item and put another to cover, but I don't know where that was or how that got covered. Apparently didn't get covered.
Because you'll see this year, we budgeted 206 and we've spent up to Friday, we're gonna do 63,000.
However, 60,000, well, did you take out the mistake in it?
No,
So there's
no,
60
because that comes from the accounting stuff. So you got to put that cost.
So there's 60-some thousand in that was taken out of the wrong line item by whoever's going to pay that. Correct. What was that number, Rusty?
What, now, where are we, Jogan?
For the part-time budget. What was the number we said? There was 16,617 or something that was times 4 that they, SRO money that they.
Well, that was in a thing that
Oh, right. That's
Nikki
why-
had given us
Yes.
on a thing,
Yes,
and it was
but they had-
$66,000
They paid that out
more.
of part-time line.
That was in our, how much we
SRO.
spent, it was in how much we spent this year.
Right.
Is that,
That's
do we
why-
have that here?
SRO is 119 instead of closer to the 119.
That's what they're gonna do, transfer.
So that deal here is the part-time salary. On the first page of the police budget, second thing down, part-time salary, year-to-date 363. That should be around
That should be closer to
297-ish, because 66 grand of that was SRO money that was not.
That's somebody.
Plus, there was,
I mean, there may be other things, but that's one thing.
yes.
So
And then there
that,
was
we haven't
about
spent
12
that
grand
much.
in retro that was taken out of that line item from the contract that
you
wasn't. Yes.
So we had not done a good job of figuring
That wasn't. budgeted
salaries
for.
and then adding some other things like retro money. There probably should have been a line item there for not in salaries or whatever, that would be retro or something.
So should the police SRO line, the third line, under year to date, should that be closer to like 170,000 right now?
Correct, because 192 is the right number.
Okay, that sounds good then.
You're gonna change it.
No, because that comes out of the accounting. That's this year.
So, no,
The school pays back, so that's what it
When
is,
we
just
went
that they had this
with
stuff.
the
was
new
all
system
screwed up,
that
so
the
this
county
is
went with for our thing, there's different
supposed to be that
modules
high,
in
they're
there
still
that
asking for
we had
350 though.
set for,
Is that
and
right?
Yeah.
I was getting a training simulator, but because of the way the budget is, I waited and I used that money because I knew the price I needed. So I haven't got what I want, and that's why that line item still has money.
Do you wanna wait, you wanna get it this year, or do you wanna get it like, you're still hoping to get it this year? or
I'm
maybe
hoping
next
and
year?
I'm trying to find a grant for it also, so that I don't have to use another
How much is something like that, and then can we get a grant?
fund. They're anywhere from, the one I wanted was like 38 grand.
So you need to adjust those.
Health insurance. And then there's some other stuff, contracted services, or sometimes the things are getting closed in properly, so there might be something just taken out of it. Due to the computer software that wasn't, but
Basically,
basically,
have an HRA,
I'm using it for offer right now.
because I don't think that was in this one at all.
But it's in there, but we don't use it.
I'm sorry. I think that, you know, we always get the money, and as soon as they do the drawdown.
But you'll see,
As soon as we
unlike
spend the money,
DPW,
and
look at
they
the
do a
budget.
drawdown, we get the money for that. However,
So the HRA.
that cost grant is 4 years old now, so there's a difference between the
So Mike, on our revenue page, there back 3 pages in, that crime control was the SRO and the,
Correct.
and
That's them adding together.
and the potential, cost grant.
Most of it.
But that number is probably wrong. That's what was in there initially.
We have 18 months left. with
220,000.
So the problem is, 6 months of that's training. We have one guy that might not.
220 comes from the school, that's 24 part-time.
I'm gonna ask him exactly what that is.
I don't know what the amount from the cost grant.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because 50 times 2, 100 is salaries, but the benefits are another 80 that we get out of the cops grant. But I don't know if we had, what we had for benefits for the cops. I'd have to see the benefits.
What are you guys saying?
So Joe, just tell me again how much the school gives us, is it
224.
224? Okay, thanks.
So that's part of that 400. And then the other part is the cops grant, but I don't know that that's the correct number.
It is.
So anyways, on this thing, when, on the first page where it says police SRO and it says 192 grand, there is another 32,000, depending on how you guys write on your things, there's another $32,000 a plus there, because we get $32,000 more dollars.
224 from the school.
Unless on a different, on the revenue page, we've already accounted for that.
No,
But the salaries won't be that. Okay,
no, we don't, no, we pay, that's the salaries when we get the other 32 grand to cover their incidental uniforms and.
Insurance.
but that would be, yeah, but that would be less money we would have on much of these other line items.
Right.
For uniforms, et cetera, because those are paid for. Well, so what did we say it was 300 grand more? And
Yeah, I mean, really, the 300 grand shows up in the salaries.
so the two salaries from last time, part-time and full-time, were a total of $659,000. The two salary lines, 287 and 363.
Right.
659.
No, you're looking at year to date. Look at the
Oh, I'm
budget.
sorry. Yeah, budget. Yep. 559 budget. We budgeted 559, over last year. And now we're budgeting this year 792.
So there's.
332. $233,000 difference in budgeted salaries
Of the 300 grand.
of that 300 grand that it's up.
And the others are buried in, I mean, if you look through the, like, the insurance and stuff.
We can find some other things there, which I'll do here in a minute. But anyway, we did it on that.
And health
we did that on
insurance,
another page
the other
right now.
big hitter is health insurance.
Yeah,
Going from 56,000 to 92,000,
yeah,
which comes from the salaries. Comes down to it. More full-time guys, and this was the budget that didn't have the HRA anywhere in it. That is now in there.
this budget now has HR that's under health.
Yeah, you can see, like, look at our health insurance, we budgeted 56,000.
It's 92.
Spent 50,000, so those numbers are real close.
Yeah.
Unlike DPW, where we budgeted whatever and spent half of it.
So when we didn't put the HRA in
Michael,
before,
sorry, this is
Did we-
updated until when? Oh, Friday.
when we didn't put the HRA in before that, by mistake, did we put the HSA in?
Correct.
We did put that in.
I don't know.
Oh, because that would make a difference. If we didn't put either one of them in, then it's, close to $40,000 more money. But once again, if we're lucky, this year, only 50 was used. So,
Right.
if that, hardly anybody gets sick and uses any of that money, that's 40 or 50 grand that we will have, but we can't depend on it.
And retirement is up 23 grand for next year.
Well, and that's
And those are
That's
numbers
one
that-
tier two guy.
Right.
In fact, that one tier two guy is 26 grand.
Right. So those are kind of the numbers.
Like, what do you get from salary from the state? I mean, what do you get from revenue from the state law enforcement stuff?
As far as,
Because they give us any funding?
no, we got a line for New York aid law enforcement, and it's all zeros.
I don't see a line item for donuts. That's not, that's a myth, right?
It's not,
It's out of Joe's pocket.
not to bring it up here, but if you're not getting state aid for the law enforcement agency, why are we giving all our tickets and everything get written, 90% of the ticket goes to the state and the surcharge?
Right.
You can technically write under, if you guys adopted like speeding laws, they could technically write the tickets under village code, and the village would get 100% of the money instead of
I wonder,
10%. However, I know that other places that have done that, their state aid stops at some point, depending on what.
So they spank
what
you.
the not that I'm saying we're not a
They spank
money,
you back.
we're not a money generating agency. I'm not saying that. However, if they're doing a $90 surcharge per ticket, that all goes to the state. And then if they do a $300 ticket for that, we get about $8 in that.
so those might be, there's police fees, maybe those are tickets. I don't know. But we budgeted $500 and we brought in 3,000.
Yeah, so that might be the surcharges from, that might be from generated from the court.
Right, that's our $10 worth.
So if you're not getting the state aid and you had village speeding laws and stuff like that, you could write under that.
We're not getting state aid, or it's not coming in the right spot.
That doesn't make sense. It wouldn't be, I would think. There's gotta be.
Because there is a line for New York state aid law enforcement, and it's
We just,
all
Where's
zeros.
that?
we pay them out 35, 4,000 every month. We're paying.
But the point here is for us to do a little investigation, and do we want to change some of our criminal code laws so that these things are not, we're not enforcing a state law, we're enforcing a village law. So we don't have a lot of those things written in the village, but we could write a bunch of them in there. And the concept there is then we would write that ticket based on that, so you know, there's a number, instead of 1043, it's a 1923, and it's a village ordinance that you broke, and we get all the money. That's the thought
If the
process there.
judge.
If that?
If the judge.
Yeah, well, yeah, once again,
Or whatever.
What about all the tickets that are written that are not paid?
You mean like parking tickets?
No, I mean like, could I use the name Wilcox?
Repeat offenders, you could say.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, like appearance, like criminal tickets?
Yeah, I see one guy's name in there all the time. He's only getting arrested because he's not
Chuck
paying.
Wilcox will never pay a
So on a
ticket.
criminal arrest anyway, we get no money. That would be, that's not, it's tickets that are money generating. It's not criminal cases. You don't ever get any money for that unless they break a window, and then it's money back to the, to the
But Charles, to your,
victim's advocates.
Charles, to your point, if this guy or some guy, no names, I don't know anybody's name,
Yeah.
but break a law and it's $250 or 15 days in jail, he's not paying $250. So that guy will never pay any
He's
money.
always out.
Well, and,
He's in right
and many times they don't put him in jail,
You gotta-
but he's not gonna pay it.
Yeah, I know, it's not
Yeah.
fair.
So the only thing you can do is either you put him in jail or you say, and I don't think putting him in jail will change his behavior. You say, putting him in jail is gonna cost us for 15 days, it's gonna cost the county or us or somebody $8,000. And for that $250 we didn't get, we're not gonna put him in jail.
I say, how much
You
is
know
a
what I'm
bus
saying?
ticket? Buy him a bus ticket,
Oh, yeah.
send him on his merry way somewhere else. That's how we wind up here.
We've tried that.
We're not sending them far enough with a plane ticket.
Alright, so,
We digress.
Yeah, we got
Back to the
alligators,
budget.
we got alligators in Florida, too. I'm sorry.
You're gonna ask me that? Recorded.
Don't say nothing.
I don't
say
know.
nothing in a public meeting you don't want.
The only thing I can tell you is our court is busy.
Don't be safe.
It was there 3 hours of thing and Judge Bowen does send more stuff over to the town than the other judge was. We were here 5 hours for court twice a month at least, and we had like a 60-person docket every month. Now there might be some less because some of the people that he knows, I think, or whatever, he sends it to another court, but I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
In the old days, they used to bring in 150,000.
Right.
Now they're bringing in 20.
And we got some guys that are writing parking tickets by the.
right,
If you look at our parking tickets 2 years ago from what they are now, if you just look at those fines alone, that's a significant amount of money. They're in hundreds of parking tickets.
I know, there was a time that you didn't pay enough, so you'd go to jail.
$10 is ass time.
No, but I remember, I mean,
We have one lady that pays, I don't know how many days a week, but she pays her parking ticket all the time because she figures it's cheaper paying for a garage or parking. She just leaves it there and pays a ticket every night.
And even though it wasn't on that sheet,
And she's one
of,
person that's paying.
even though it wasn't on that sheet of proposed changes in some of the parking laws, that's one of the things is to change the 2 paragraphs of parking ticket money. So we're gonna be looking at that. I mean, we're already looking at it, but I assume
Mike,
we're
that's the
gonna, I
other
assume
thing.
we're gonna do
Not that
something
it's a
about it.
big deal, but every year I have to transfer the court's security money
right.
over to, which I just wrote down to do that for the next quarter. But it's only $3,000, but that comes up, that's my guys that I send up there to do that, so that probably would make more sense to put that on my budget. But
I think we do it just to keep track of where it comes from.
Gotcha. Doesn't matter, as long as it can be transferred over. But
Yeah, well, that's gonna be here. Could you,
What do you feel about parking?
I think the parking, especially the new digital stuff with phones and stuff, I think it's fantastic. All the municipalities that are doing that are making money handle this. Because it's easy, and if they're coin operated, people aren't gonna walk, I'm not gonna walk back, I'll take the chance and get my ticket. But when I go somewhere on vacation and I do paid parking and I'm not still on the beach, it sends me a message saying, hey, your time's up. And you add more time on your phone and it goes right to the meter of the municipality. I don't know, I think that would generate a ton of money. I don't know what the upfront cost is.
What would that do for time parking? Is there always some good times? Still have the 3 hour.
Well, and that would be stuff you'd have to look at changing.
you
if
can
you
set
had
the
meter.
kiosks up. Like, I know they have to make them for their time, and then, like, on the weekends, they don't use them.
yeah, they have them in Ithaca.
Yeah, I think that would be a huge money maker.
We need money, we don't have any money.
I saw a statistic somewhere in one of the Nikon books or something. Towns that put in those kiosk parking machines, even without enforcement, not saying we'd not enforce it, but without enforcement, like 80% of people just pay because they think it's enforced.
That's, yeah, those has them for
So,
Dickens Christmas, I mean.
in my research, I don't think I've talked to you guys about this because we haven't gotten at the parking thing. I reached out to Binghamton, Johnson City, Endicott, and Waverly. And 3 of the 4 charge $50 for a parking ticket and 1 charges $40. So we were thinking of maybe, oh, should we change ours from 10 to 20? Well, we're gonna be talking about, and we're not gonna talk about it more tonight, but I'm just cluing you in that this is how this works.
Yeah, we
And they
behind
probably
the
don't do it with
times.
the first one's free.
Yeah, I'll pay
Well, we're
10.
gonna, and I would assume we're gonna get rid of that first one free. We're gonna get rid of that first one free. I assume, but we'll see. We're gonna talk about it.
We'll just like,
Everything's gonna do once in a
In New York State,
Yeah.
that list is for everybody.
Yeah, you can do about anything.
yeah. Pay for it.
Eventually you'll have a trial. You don't gotta show up with that either. You know, they gotta come get you.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
But I don't, you guys see when I send them over, you see the call numbers that we're doing. I mean, our guys are
Yeah, they're working.
swamped, part-time investigators, full-time. I mean, it's just,
Especially a bunch of people here tonight, we all the windows.
It's just a shame that they come right back down.
we just had a 15-year-old throw the 13-year-old through a plate glass window down.
Is that what happened?
That's, you know, how much time that takes, and then that shit, nothing happens to them, that's probation, but you still got a fingerprint, you still got a.
My kid was, I had to pay for it as a parent, right? But she's not calling a business owner.
And then we send code enforcement out, right? And they call somebody to board it off, and I don't know how that, because you can't get a hold of the business owner.
I know my kid just go easy with it, DWR. I don't know how that happened. It should have been.
All right.
Broke them, my dad will break me.
Budget wise, you didn't really, did you change any of the other line items besides salary?
Just a little bit here and there, some of them might drop, a couple of them might increase just because of things that are gonna increase.
Like I see insurance went up $5,000, but it kind of meant like this year we spent 66.
Yeah, because that goes over like Fred said, it's over 2 or 3, 4 grand every year from what we re-budget for it. So,
Right.
I mean, I don't care, that's what you guys, if you wanna leave that down, it's gonna go up, but.
It's still repairs versus equipment.
So that was an issue I talked to the mayor about, we need to separate line items somehow, because it doesn't work. It all depends on who codes it, and it depends on what it is. I mean, is it repair of our radios, or is it repair of a car, is it repair? So kind of, I don't know why it should be separated so that it says,
And they need some better description there.
yes.
What are they?
Well, most of it is probably auto repairs.
I see an $8,000 last year, we spent 13, you know, 15 for budget for next year.
I would bet those are cars, and the
Yes.
equipment repair probably is.
Yeah, and our cars, as we have cars that are getting older, the cost is gonna
I have to buy tires.
go up. Tires, yeah, and I haven't bought tires this year yet.
That's a different
I
line.
see
item.
that.
Yeah, that's a different line.
That's a
item.
killer.
3,800.
It's supposed to be like 90,000 miles on a tire.
Gee,
Yeah, right.
especially not on a police car.
$500 for tires.
I think mostly everything we've kept somewhat. Couple have gone up.
It's always salaries though.
That's
Yeah,
our-
salaries is what's killing it. And I have part-time cops that are working for less than you can go to McDonald's driving. And they're making $18 an hour. So that's gotta come up. And I have some guys that have been here a couple years, that time they're making $18 an hour.
Right.
And one of them 20. I mean,
Free parking for 2 officers 24/7.
Yeah.
That's,
right?
the increase.
And I try to keep 2 officers on. That's part of the reason I don't.
That's what they should be, when they're
Yeah.
accustomed to. It's just unrealistic and dangerous.
But
Right. Right, more tickets.
I mean, even the cops grant with this, it's kind of a false, not a false, but you have new cops that come in, and they have to be trained. You can't take the guys off the road that you have that are part-time because you throw a new officer on that needs to be trained, or he's in the academy for 6 months.
Right.
So,
So we're not saving money to really.
no, but we have one officer, if he passed the test, if we hire him on the cops grant, he's part-time now, so he's already trained, so so that would be a big benefit, to lose a part-time guy. You know, he's
Right.
working full-time hours a lot of the times, but he would be covered by that money now.
you wouldn't need another guy to train him on the job.
Correct.
We've already done that for the last.
I need a little change.
Okay, here's some numbers. This is inaccurate because it doesn't reflect the whole situation, but it's a feel of numbers. If we have 5 full-time officers, the 3 we have now and 2 more guys from cops. The 3 we have now, numbers are just for reflection, they're not perfect. Say they're making 77 grand a year each. And the 2 guys from cops will be making 50. That's a total of 281 grand. I meant $281,000. I get that right? Let me double check. 777, 210, 231.
You'd have 3 guys making 77, 2 guys making 57.
This is not perfect. This is for
I
reflection.
know, I'm just telling you for
Say,
reflection.
I said 50 for the 2 new guys. Are they going to make 57?
Yeah,
That's what the union contract
It's up to 57 now, first year?
yeah.
I'll be darned. All right, so anyways, all right, let me do it again. 77, 77, and 77, I'm making that up. That's 231. Uda's about 50. That's the 281. 2 new guys, I had them at 50 apiece. We'll have them at 57. So that's 114. That's 395. That would be, under that scenario, if those numbers were somewhat reflective, that'd be how much money we'd be paying for full-time. We got 442 down.
Another 3%.
Don't help me anymore.
What? I'm just saying.
If you want us to cut the crap out of your budget, you just keep
You're
helping.
gonna cut the crap anyway.
Okay. So 395, because we're not doing that with everybody. I mean, everybody's is going up, but we're not doing that. But anyways, that's 395. That would take up, and this doesn't work, but I understand, stay away from it. That's 5 guys, 40 hours a week, $200. There's 336 hours for 2 guys, 168 hours in a week times 2 guys, 336 hours. This is, once again, this is not accurate, but it's accurate in one way. If we paid part-time guys $25 an hour for 136 hours to make up those other hours, so we had 2 guys there every hour, and you can't do it that way, and you gotta have more for vacations, but if you did that, that'd be another $176,000. That'd be, just that would be $571,000 in salary. And we've got $792,000 down here as our projection for salary. That's the difference. But we can't run a department on that, but because we have other factors, but at the same time, we also don't necessarily have somebody there all the time either.
Well, plus in the part-time, you have to account for Joe's salary.
Oh, shit, I forgot Joe.
No, that's all right, just take my money away, Ross.
Well, this is not working, I forgot Joe.
And all the behind the scenes.
No, I understood that. I understood that, but
Like an investigator.
but
Paperwork.
we're probably higher on our salary than we need to be. But now how we get to wherever we need to be, I don't exactly know. But we're still probably higher than we need to be. And the reason we are is because, once again, when we do this other times, we either, when we say we're gonna have these 2 cops grant guys, but then we're gonna reduce our part-time because these 2 cops grant guys are gonna take up,
That doesn't really work.
80 hours a week.
It would have worked
If we had.
if at the time our salaries were what they were now, and they weren't.
That
So
would have
that's
helped with
why
the
it's
salary.
3 guys going
But
on
but the difference in the salaries isn't that $200,000. But it is a difference. So that was the deal, that we would have 2 cops grant guys, and that's 40, 80 hours a week, and that's 4 part-time guys we wouldn't have. And then when we don't have the 2 cops grant guys, then we have to have the 4 part-timers to make up for those. So that's how we were always trying to get this. we're probably, it's still a pile, but we're probably high on these salaries. And we kind of messed around with it before, and we probably need to mess around with it again and sniff it a little better. And
We're high, but
we need to sniff, what?
when you look at the actual of what we spent this year,
What were the actuals?
287 and 363, up to last Friday.
So that's 40, that's 650. So we spent 650 actuals up to the last 2 months.
But you're bringing in 2 more guys.
Right. Yeah, we still got the rest of June and July.
But we did what coverage we could do. We covered in that money what we could cover and what we could afford and what we had manpower we had. But if we bring in 2 more guys and we decide we're gonna cover more hours and we're gonna cover more things, yes, then it's gonna be a pile more money.
Not covering more guys, they're covered by cops grant. But they still have to get trained, you just have
No, that's
officers working the same hours they are.
The point is, we spent this much money covering these many hours. If we bring in 2 more guys, are we gonna cover
6
80
months
more?
down the road, we will cover the same amount of hours with less manpower, with less money spent.
That's what, yes, of course we are, because I'm saying we bring in 2 more guys, we got 80 less hours that we have to cover that we paid this much money for. And 80 hours at $25 an hour is whatever it is, 17 grand. No, I'm just saying, when we do this, we're gonna save some money there. So the point being, our manpower thing is not, our salary thing is not, we spent a lot of time playing around with it, but we're still not real good on exactly where we want to be and exactly what we can afford and exactly what we're gonna do.
I know where I want to be.
Well, yeah, that.
So if we get those 2 guys, will that overtime kind of dissipate, or will that stay the same?
Should.
We're like, about 60 grand overtime?
65.
It all depends on call volume. I mean, we stop at 3 in the morning now, but guys still are here until 5 or 6 in the morning sometimes. And Uda does our building cleaning, which that overtime, you don't see the cleaning fees and stuff like that in there, because we decided a couple years ago we'd rather give it to one of our employees than a cleaning company, so, but she doesn't make a ton of money. So that's in there for her overtime, and there's other overtime that she has to get because she's the only records person, and if you look at our call volume, you'll see that there's a lot of records. I mean, there's a lot of records.
So anyway, Joe, I shushed you so I could give my little
I know.
thing here, so now you get to go and say, so there's lots of other factors, but I just want you to, I wanted to get that little feel in there first. Back to you with whatever you want to put in there.
I do have a question. So sometimes you mentioned that we get
Yeah,
DWI money.
that's SRO.
Yes.
Where's
Is that something we should put on the revenue side somewhere?
Yes. Because, so if you look at like Officer Howard's the one that usually does the DWI money, and this year I think was, so depending on where they're taking it from, it could be overtime for him, depending on the day, but we get reimbursed from the county for stop DWI money. Stop DWI money comes in, the county regulates who they give it to. And I think they give us a pocket up to 5 grand, which this year we've only used about 3 grand. But yes, that should be on revenue.
I wonder if that's this police fees for $3,000.
Don't know.
Because we have to be putting it somewhere.
Yes. And that could be. And I also have an asset forfeiture account too, that's a state account, we can't touch it on certain things. I don't know how much money's in that, maybe like drug seizures and stuff like that, maybe 12 or 12.
I'm just wondering if we should increase this revenue thing if you're doing DWI.
Yeah, we do it every year, and they give us money and we put an officer on our road for it.
But right now it's only set at $500. Looks like we brought in, if this is the right line, $3,200 this year.
Yeah, that's probably right. And there's other things that aren't in there, like the grant money for bulletproof vests for my guys. I think we still have a little bit we can draw down on that too. That's not a lot, but it depends on the year.
So it's not 100 grand, but there's significant money that you bring in that's not
Yes, I'm
reflected.
always getting some sort of.
That's
grant
not
to
reflected
cover
in here, yeah.
Right, yes.
It might, It might be 2030, it might be something like that.
Faulkner's give us, $2 to $4 grand a year discretionary grants for things like, we bought, life vests for the officers of the river, and, AEDs and all that stuff that we're spending, that stuff went out of this budget, and that money came in, so I don't know how you account for that, but.
Needs to be under revenue, right, income.
But I don't know where it's going because I don't see it. The only checks I see are I see the DWI checks that come in and they go back to the general fund and whatever account, and I see the state asset forfeiture fund. Because Ken calls me every time, I don't know where this goes, I'm like, we've been over this 100 times. And you have to put that in the right account or you get spanked hard.
We want that.
No.
Dig one up for 5 years.
What's that?
We gotta dig one up for 5 years. Bail money back or something.
Right.
Took a while. Actually, the judge had.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to find more revenues and more cuts here. This is a good beginning, but we're gonna have to find a bunch of stuff. Or just if the police budget had to stay exactly where it is, we couldn't find the revenues that we already have or some more revenues, that's $200,000. That's a 10% tax hike. And then, as Mike said at the beginning, this 600 grand that we were off here when we look at all this stuff, that's 30% tax hike, or it doesn't have 28, but 30% tax hike.
26.89.
Yeah.
Where we're at right now.
It sounds like we need to adjust that revenue line for the OPD.
We have to do a bunch of things with that revenue
That
lines.
doesn't reflect all the COPS grant and all these other fees you collect.
No one does. The cops grant and the school are in there. Which are the two big ones. And I just increased the DWI thing to 3,500, that's the amount that we got in.
That's not much.
So that's the purpose of doing all this, so we can get those numbers, and put those all in order, and then we can reduce this.
So we also are getting, this year, we should, we applied for used to be the Buckle Up New York, the Bunny grants and that kind of stuff. One of our officers just took time, we might be the state, put in for one of those grants too, that will count, and will help pay an officer to, go to seatbelt stuff and all that. And I figure that's gonna be somewhere around 10 grand, I think.
So back to it, the crime control revenue thing, which is the SRO money and the COPS grant, is 400 grand. The SRO is 228. What's that? It's 24. And
It should be under revenue, should it not?
it is, it's under crime control on the revenue page 2.
Oh, I was looking at this.
No,
Well, that revenue isn't on that.
page 2.
Page 2 on the big sheet, which is 3 pages in on the big packet. 3 pages in,
Says
crime control.
That includes the school money and the cops grant.
And that's probably about what it is. I'm assuming that, I don't know if the COPS grant, I don't know if the retirement things factor in the idea that we would have 2 COPS grant guys. But if they do, then that's about what it is. So if there's no extra money there, that's about it. For the 2 COPS grant guys for, we
18 months left on there.
yeah, but we're only doing this 1 year on this. But on this, it's about the 400 grand with those 2 things. So we don't have any extra money there.
So tonight we've gotten it from 607,000. As far as what we had to find, down to 605,000.
How much was it? 600 what?
605,629.
And what was it before?
607,000.
We went from 607 to 605? A very productive night. Well, and the guys we did, the fire department is about the same, and EMS is over there, so those weren't actually the things that were the
We
crux of
have
it.
people actively working on like calling different insurance agencies and doing that and seeing if our, I mean, because,
It's good, because that's a big expense overall.
yeah, we got, with two in our departments, we have $200,000 in insurance.
I shopped around every couple of years. Yes, loyalty doesn't mean anything in these companies.
So we're not with insurance companies. Most of our insurance is through 9-year, which you're gonna get the same rate everywhere.
900 Smith Brothers, right?
Yeah, Smith Brothers goes through 9-year.
They do all that, which 90 does 90% of the state.
It's like when you buy Allstate, this guy or that guy.
Yeah. And the fire department is different because they got, years ago, kind of thrown into a signed risk order, because they're not even in that. They got booted out.
Right.
When they flipped over a couple of fire.
So the group we can piggyback on like we did with health insurance, like.
That's- That's already what 9-year is.
We piggyback insurance with this, and their insurance.
On health insurance.
Yeah, that's
And that
what
is-
that stands for. Correct.
I think the insurance business itself is having a lot of issues, and we did have a resident come to the OHPC meeting the other night and said that they were told by their insurance company that they were going to be dropped because they don't have railings on their home, their historic district. So we were discussing what, could be done for that, but, it was something that hadn't come up before. And I guess they called like 7 or 8 insurances, and they're all basically told the same. So they're really starting to not have any wiggle room because they're getting nailed everywhere.
Right.
There's floods, there's fires, there's more floods, there's wind, whatever. So,
Some of them are using drones to look over properties and decide to not cover or.
Right.
right,
We do something to go in and to make stuff in my yard, like in my road. But they didn't see my front steps in a while, the thing that was really cool.
It's a mold up my garage roof.
So we're gonna meet on Wednesday, what do we do?
I don't know, so we've gone through all the departments,
Except for the sewer.
except sewer. That's pretty easy on them, the revenue matches the expenses, and it didn't go, it only went up 2%. So.
Why don't we just go to the drawing board and maybe we,
I can't hear you, Randy, what?
what's that?
I can't hear you.
We're just debating whether you're gonna meet Wednesday or what we're doing.
So we have a meeting set up for Wednesday if we want to reconvene, which we can.
I would think that we're tired right now and we've got newer thoughts and information, and for us to try and get someplace right this minute, I don't think it's the time.
Do we think Wednesday is the day, or should we?
You do Wednesday.
We probably ought to, because once again,
Wednesday night.
next Monday is 2 weeks from the end of the month, and so we probably ought to come Wednesday. Or finish up the sewer real quick and figure out what we're gonna do.
That's my bedtime.
Not allowed to talk about the sewer, it's in the back.
No, I didn't mean finish up the sewer tonight, I meant Wednesday. Finish it, that fresh start, fresh thoughts, we had a bunch of stuff that,
We can come
I'll be
back
talking to Joe and others and whoever in the next few days.
See if anybody has any ideas.
Here's an interesting, got an email today. Somebody said, hey, we got like a camp, we wanna bring 64 kids once a week to pool. How do you stop?
Charge them.
We make a rule.
50 cents.
Well, I'm just saying, we wanna bring 64 kids once
Is
a week.
I think I was free housing, or is that
Something, I don't know.
an Owego camp?
What do you mean you think
That's more strain, that's more strain on our
Oh,
lifeguards than they should have like a.
Did you think you can't put
price
this guy,
tag to
put a
that.
school bus here and drop someone and nobody would be there?
Is there a reason why we can't?
Well, there's
do it?
usually-
If they're gonna come by the bus load, camp load, we should charge that.
I mean, I look at it kind of as a village tool, so if it's on a village camp,
Right. If they're outside.
Chicky, where'd you hear that?
I'm sure it wasn't village people, it come from somewhere.
Chick, where'd you hear that? You got
I got an email, and I've sent it on to Meg. so she can get-
from somebody that said,
What Where's the maximum occupancy for that pool?
Yeah,
It
there
can't be
is.
that many.
There is one, I don't know.
There's gotta be.
It's like 50 people.
It's less than Charles is in there.
No,
Probably more.
more than that, but I'm sorry, Chris, John.
Water displacement.
We could drive over there. Look at the
There's a
sign.
sign.
There's a sign.
I mean, we enforced a law, what, 5 years ago, that you had to have somebody of a certain age with,
Yeah, that's,
I don't know if we did a minimum amount of people. I mean,
Well,
we
that's
had
what I
one
was just
person-
thinking, if you're going with your kids, you know, 3, 4,
we're talking a busload of camp, that's.
but, yeah, that's a different thing.
Yep.
Once a week, we wanna bring our 64
Yeah.
kids to your
Although,
pool.
I would say charge them,
You know, that makes sense because the school used to accommodate a lot of that stuff. And they're
Right.
not open this summer.
charge, that puts
Like,
a
I'm thinking
strain,
like, we used to do Cub Scout games and stuff like that. We always took them to the school.
Right,
Like in the afternoon, we went to the school, they went swimming.
that puts a strain on our lifeguards,
But this
You're
year
not-
it's
you don't
just-
get-
Oh, it's a strain on everything.
No, it's not.
the whole thing.
They can't handle our village.
That, yeah,
Throw an extra 64.
ain't nobody got time for that.
Hey, who's gonna clean the bathroom after you leave?
Think about this for a couple of days, talk to the people you talk to around the village, because I talk to people, you know, what do you think if we start charging for the pool? Talk to people you know, think about it, talk amongst yourselves and.
No, I mean, village
come back.
people is fine, but I'm talking about outside, busload of outside.
No, we're gonna have to make some decisions, just talk around and about what we might do and think about it for the next time we
Maybe
come.
you come in, bring a can of vegetables or something.
Well, when I lived on Long Island, if you lived in the 11 houses, you had a little pool tag. And, you know, if you didn't, you had to pay.
You know, that's an option, is you come here and get a permit or something.
Right.
The badges.
Badges.
You don't need those
We
things.
don't need,
No, the
we
little
don't need them.
fans with the little metal thing, that was the coolest.
Yeah, we had that here
You
years
just feel
ago,
like you belong.
Yeah, we had that.
long time ago.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, something that's
Campers,
something we gotta
busloads.
significantly, we were always thinking about that anyways, about what we should do about charging, and we talked about, oh my goodness, making those kids have to monitor and charge, and that's, no,
That's the hardest part.
we talk about that, but if somebody's gonna bring in a big bus from out of town, that's a different deal.
Lattes.
It's
more
more
of a
about the
logistics.
collection of the money that was the issue.
Like, do you want these
And where's it going?
lifeguards collecting money now and the pool and, you
I'm all
know?
about hiring a person to be there to monitor who is more of an adult. Because there are issues that every day of the year,
Yeah.
somebody acting stupid. And the 50-year-old kid's not gonna report.
Don't know, I don't know.
We gotta sniff harder now with this potential. We were thinking to sniff a little bit, we gotta sniff harder after this idea.
Definitely.
When you hire another person and then you charge, does it just negate itself?
Right.
Well, if we do, and it makes it more fluid, and maybe we can easier to get lifeguards and.
Right.
Because I can't imagine that adults handle stress well. Young kids are gonna get burned out, like this is not worth it. $16 an hour, what the hell I make?
Let's not do this, we're tired, let's not do this tonight, but I'm gonna throw a quick one here. One of the ways you could do this
You're
is
telling us
from
to
the,
shut
from the,
up, but you're gonna keep talking. You see how this is working?
Yeah.
this is how it always works. It always works, because I'm bringing forth this so you can
Just one more.
percolate it around in your brain a little bit. We could set up a deal where if you wanna do this, somebody, some camp, some place, you have to get a hold of us, you have to make a reservation to come to that pool on that day, and you have to pay us, whatever it is, $50 or $100 or $1 a kid. You make that reservation, and so we don't have to have somebody there collecting money or whatever. I'm just saying, that's another way to play this.
Pay for our
I like that idea.
lifeguards and the cleanup time. After.
Factor all of that in there.
But we're gonna percolate this.
Price.
I'll just, just showed up here. I don't know.
Yeah, it's brand new, we don't know if it's real, we don't.
If they didn't ask us, they just show up, what are we gonna do about it? Just show up, right?
Keep them out, cause
We're gonna make a rule.
lifeguards are overwhelmed with,
We can make a rule.
Come up with a sign real quick, put it on the front gate.
You have little
No
100
buses,
names out
no
there,
buses.
figure out who it is.
You can make it up to
I mean, I hate to do that because it's. a
No, I
fun
don't like
thing,
it either,
but
but this
You gotta
is,
draw the line
this is a
somewhere.
game changer.
That is,
That's just the first one, it might be more than usual.
yeah,
I'm sure it is.
That's just the first bust. Once they find out at the other places.
yeah, that was a campground.
Once for 2 hours, it's by yourself.
Right.
So that's good.
Have we had enough?
Yes, we have. No, I'm used to watching Columbo series. One more thing.
One more thing. Yeah. That's what the new Elizabeth show does.
Yeah, that's
She's
good.
Columbo.
Elspeth? Yeah.
Yep, she does that. We good, Mike? Move to adjourn. Not adjourn. Well,